So I'm going to be pre-recording. So we'll just get a countdown going so you can get it up. All right. So we are live and we're going in 3, 2.
All right. And we are live by the campfire. The last word with Lord Cognito and Ebontis. And campfire's kind of hot today. Who's this we got over here, man? What's going on?
We got a special guest in the house. And before I even say anything name-wise, I'm going to send it right back to you, sir, for your intros of all time. So let's bring this man in style the way you do it best. Let's go.
No doubt. All right. Welcome to The Last Word, episode number 69. It's another glorious Friday, and we're back in front of the campfire for some more looter-shooter discussion. I'm extremely honored about our special guest, so we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a Lord whose outstanding contributions to the gaming community is truly a sight to behold. Not only is this Lord the epitome of journalistic professionalism, but is easily one of the very best writers in the game. Whether it be his candid takes on television, pop culture, and of course, everyone's favorite looter shooter, the Destiny franchise. Introducing the novelist of the Earthborn trilogy, hero killer, and renowned video game writer for Forbes.com. Fellow original Gambit fan, and come Shadow Keep, he's got the sparrow in the back, helmet matte black with the shoulders black to match. Live from Ohio, and kind enough to make his debut into the realm of The Last Word. My man, Lord Paul Tassi, how you doing, sir?
Good, thanks for having me. That was the best intro I've ever heard.
That's why I let him do that. I don't even try and touch that.
fantastic.
That is all him. So
Awesome, man. Honor to have you here by the campfire. Oh, man, it's been long overdue, man. Really pleasure meeting you at Guardian Con, now at GCX.
all right.
You know?
Yeah, it was
man.
great. It's great meeting you guys.
Awesome, man. Great to have you, brother.
So we've got a lot to discuss in case you guys have been living under a rock, which I know you two haven't, but obviously anybody out there listening, we've got Director's Cut Part 1, Director's Cut Part 2, Armor 2.0 stream, so we have a lot to get through today, and to respect Mr. Tassie's time, we are going to try and keep this thing kind of moving forward as best as possible, but as always, you guys know, we turn this into long points sometimes, so tangents are possible. But to get going, I did want to kind of, if you just want to briefly tell the audience, if they don't know who you are, which I would be floored if they don't, but if they don't, tell them who you are real quick. Just kind of how long have you been writing? I was listening to DCP like a year ago for Forsaken, I think, when you were on there. So I was kind of curious what's changed since then. So how long have you been writing, and then just how many articles do you think you're up to for Destiny?
Oh man. I've been writing for Forbes specifically it'll be 9 years this fall.
That's
and it was almost right out of college. It was pretty much a year or two right out of college, and I've been writing since college. And yeah, I've literally worked from home this entire time. I'm working remotely, and
Nice.
I write anywhere from 3 to 5 articles a day. This week it's been maybe like 6 because
Yeah, you've been smoking today. This week it's
and
crazy.
I write weekends, I write holidays, I write a lot. So I'm up to at least a couple thousand articles over the last few years, and a couple hundred for Destiny easily. Lately, I've almost been doing daily Destiny articles because there's so much news. So there's at least one thing to write about per day with Destiny lately, because there really hasn't been the kind of long, completely dead spells like we saw in Destiny 1, like year 2 and 3. So every day there's something.
That's absolutely crazy.
Man. Yeah, you pumped them out, man. I think that's how I came across you. I think just like I said, consistent Destiny information, and then very candid takes, and one thing I like about your articles is that even if it's something that I see the title that I'm like, I don't know if I agree with him on this. When you actually read your articles, you make so much compelling points that it's like, you know what? I understand his stance now. I kind of get it now, kind of thing. And that's very talented as a writer, I think, that you have.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes I even change my mind and I'll completely go against my own take from like a year ago, but depends on the issue.
All right, and then not a tough question, but the tough question. I know in DCP you were saying what character you had been playing the most, so quick take on what has been your recent character of use for all the craziness going on.
Oh man, I think I'm more evenly split than most people. Like I was checking my time, and I guess somehow I've become a Hunter main in the last couple of
Really?
months.
You were Warlock and then Titan and now Hunter. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
like by 50 hours or so. I've been doing a lot of like the exotic stuff on my Hunter. Like all the outbreak runs and all that stuff was on Hunter, so that may have boosted it up, but I don't know. I've never been like a strong like this is my class identity guy because I play so much. I get to play everything pretty evenly, so it I don't know. It depends on the state of the meta and like who's overpowered or underpowered at any given time. But
gotta play the best class.
The chat is going crazy. The hunters in the chat are going crazy right now. I gotta hear the dude now. All the slander. No, but at least you said you play all even.
Yeah,
so
you're pretty
much.
Warlock on me is gonna let that slide.
Well, that was like I listened to them back. I was like, let's see what I can get from this just to see. And it was like, well, I used to probably be Warlock, but now I checked and I'm Titan. And literally right now, your Hunter is like, you've gone through rotation. That's pretty crazy. So
yeah, it is weird. I don't really know how that happened. But...
All right. Well, intros aside, trying not to take too long. Kind of gonna go through this week chronologically, basically, as things have been released from Bungie. So the first thing we got this week was the Director's Cut Part 1. As this is more past stuff, I don't want to harp on it too long, but there are a couple pieces that I do want to touch on for sure. I know he talked a lot about Season of the Drifter. That was a major piece. They had a lot of things they learned from it. They had Gambit, Gambit Prime, Reckoning, and all these different things they've learned. So quick take, and I kind of got probably your answer, Paul, from Wednesday as I caught Fire Team. And I think Cognito agrees as well. But Gambit or Gambit Prime, which way do you guys lie? I think I know the answer, but if you guys want to at least say it.
We know where Paul is, but let's get it out and why.
Yeah, I wrote a whole thing on this, and I know it's the minority opinion, which I was genuinely surprised it was the minority opinion, but I prefer OG Gambit. I think the main problem that most people have with OG Gambit is that it's too long. But I think that's a pretty easy problem to solve in the grand scheme of things. Whereas if you keep Prime and kill OG Gambit, I think Prime is a lot more issues that you have to address. And you have all the issues with the armor sets and those kind of ending up being a little bit mandatory. So Gambit becomes more unfriendly to newer players that are just trying to jump into it if they haven't grinded out a bunch of tier 3 Reckoning Prime sets. I hate the Primeval phase.
Preach it, brother.
Incredibly annoying tug of war. They've nerfed it a little bit, so like it's not like an invader won't totally bring you all the way back, but like it pretty much just comes down to like, does your team know how to burn at 2 stacks or whatever? If not, you probably lose to the team that does. There's aspects of it I like. It just if I have to pick one, I prefer the simplified, more standard version than Prime, because Prime was always meant to be like a pinnacle version.
Right.
We may end up with some combination of the two where they take elements from both and kind of mix them. But if I have to pick one, it's got to be OG.
Yeah, I'm with. I was surprised too because I think when we was at Guardian Con, we were speaking to was it Adam Pino, right?
Yep, Adam Pino.
And he directly asked because he's just one of his game modes. He asked specifically. He said, which guys you like. I think you were kind of in the middle, right? You were kind of.
I was like, that's where my question was going to get to you guys. Is like, there's things I like from both, but it's like I'm torn to the point where. I was like, I like the idea of the sets, like adding kind of diversity to it. And as for the boss mechanics, I do like how you can kind of set up your damage phases, not just like the damage. And I was actually having a debate with my brother Stone the other night about Gambit versus Gambit Prime. By the way, he's with you guys. So
the OG Gambit.
So I mean, the ones that I talked to seem to like Gambit. I just like how the damage phase isn't always up. So as soon as literally in Gambit, if you have your Slayer high enough, and as soon as that invader goes, you can burn the boss. And there's a point where the timing, the mechanics, you can do that. But then he said on the other side, well, if somebody times the invasion just right, they can always be there right when you're starting. So it's a balance on both sides, and I don't know how. The biggest thing about Gambit Prime that burned me is the set bonuses for Reckoning don't help Reckoning at all. I was so annoyed that you spend all this time in Reckoning, you don't feel any more powerful in there, and it's for one
such a
bubble
weird loop. The whole loop is just bizarre.
I was like, I love set bonuses from Diablo and World of Warcraft and stuff like that. And as it was so finely in one area, I was like, please more. But this is definitely not enough. So mine's always been the frustration that the sets have never been a broader thing that they've used.
Right. I'm with you, man. I mean, I think there are some aspects of Prime I do enjoy, but I think I like the idea of this set. I think it was a cool idea concept, but I get frustrated during the Primeval phase because it's I just feel like the invasions become, I don't know, just almost like an annoying part of of it, and it just interrupts the flow. I can't really describe it. Whereas Gambit, I think if you're a little bit more coordinated, it can go faster. And I don't know, I just feel like stress level wise, I just really enjoy standard Gambit. It just feels like a more fun mode. And then I think the third round was to kind of still have the almost like the sudden death mechanic. Yeah. So I like it, but hopefully we'll see, them either merge some combination of the two. I'm very curious to see what wins because unfortunately, Paul, I saw that poll, man. It's not going in our favor right now, bro.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if they're just going to do straight up like majority vote or whatever if they see enough of those polls, but I feel like they're going to, if it is Prime, if they pick Prime, which is apparently what most people want, I feel like they're going to have to do some pretty major changes to it to make it like less pinnacle than it is now. And whether that's with the sets or like the primeval phase or whatever, like I'm not opposed to, I guess, the concept of a 1 round Gambit match. I just wish the mechanics of it were more like OG Gambit than what we have in Prime. So again, maybe they can blend it and it'll be okay. But if it's just like standard Prime forever and OG's dead, like I'm going to be not pleased with that.
One last thing, I just feel like 1 round takes so long. They say it's 1 round, but it really goes on a while. The push-pull can really, you
can drain modes.
Drain modes. Bro, it's so much to it that, again, in theory, it sounds just 1 round, but there's a lot going on that can really elongate the match.
And part of that, I guess, is when you get to the drain modes, it's like it is kind of annoying, but it also does make you at least kind of stay active in the middle. Yeah. So it's like there's some like strategy to like putting a couple blockers down together. It's like, hey, you can just sit there and stay on the outside and farm stuff and then wipe it all at once. Like if you do, then you've let that stuff go away. But actually, like Paul, like one of your articles that I really like the idea of, and I think it'd be a nice alternate, almost if they do kind of, make the Highlander of Gambits. When you said a PvE only. That actually was, I really like that idea, and it's one thing that would be take the invasion out of it and just make it a PvE race. That'd be a way to make them different if they push those two together, but still give some variety in that activity.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I mean, it wouldn't be like that's how Gambit is now. It would be kind of like a beginner's Gambit mode where like people who hate normal Gambit would be able to do that. And like I don't think you should like even gain infamy from that or like get the same kind of rewards. But if there's like a quest where it's like play 10 Gambit matches, like you could do that version, and it would also introduce people to some of the more like beginner people to the more complicated mechanics of Gambit without having them constantly be killed by truth invaders. So I don't think they'll do it, but I'm not opposed to the idea.
I like that. I'm using that, truth invaders.
And that's one thing, I guess, in this game. They have enough pop-ups on screen. I wish the first time somebody played Gambit, there'd be like a couple pop-ups that would be like, hey, you've played Gambit. This is how primevals work and what they do. Just a couple things that tell the initial players that would help, I think would go a long way. As
I think they should have a tutorial Gambit quest, at least.
Absolutely.
Like just one slow mini mode thing. Yeah.
Preach. Yeah. I agree.
So you're going to have a whole lot of new light players learning this thing, and they're about to have a really rough go at it, I think. So and then, so next piece we had, obviously, Gambit Prime. The other side of that coin is Reckoning. And as they go through, and Luke Smith talks about the Reckoning, he basically said the first time he played with Phoenix Protocol, he knew it was over. And that kind of gets into the bigger problem where they've kind of been nerfing supers and exotics and kind of the idea of stacking damage buffs and things like that. But also they made this encounter because of the supers and the exotics they built. So I'm not going to go full into what they were talking about with like enemy design and encounter and stuff. I wanted to ask you guys, as this is their current mentality now and this is the state we are in, where do you guys think we are going into Shadowkeep with regards to how powerful we feel? We're going to have potentially less damage stacking and things like that we may hear about later today. Where do you guys think our current, we can go into Reckoning and basically stand there and feel like a god. How do you guys think it's going to be in Shadowkeep with what they've learned in the past 6 months?
Let's get Tassi.
I definitely think, we're headed for a Lunafaction Rally Barricade nerf. Like, absolutely. They've mentioned that they don't like the constant, like, unloading of everything without having to reload. That may also come into play with some of the damage stacking stuff. So it's not just like every boss phase is stack the buffs, unload everything you got, and like pretty much nuke it on the spot without the need for, because otherwise to combat that, then you have bosses with like more and more immunity phases, or like you have to do crazy mechanics like the Reckoning where you're being spammed from all sides with snipers and stomp bosses and thrall and
the stomp bosses.
I mean, you can really see how that encounter was designed specifically around well, which is that's a crazy way to design anything. And like that's a point where, like everyone hates nerfs, but like I would rather have well be nerfed than have an activity where well is like pretty much 100% mandatory to make it work in any capacity with randoms. And so I mean I will miss it, I guess, but again, it's kind of like a wrestling. Like a whisper.
We'll have our tiny funeral and
tears off. Liquor out for it.
You kind of just get tired of feeling like you only can do the same things over and over again or use the same builds. And for an activity like that, where like that thing was mandatory, I'm a little concerned about that. Although I find it ironic that we're getting like weapons of light. Titan bubble back.
Right. Glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. I was about to touch that.
I don't know. Maybe they're okay with like damage buffs. They just don't want it to be like infinite ammo stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I think what you guys. I mean, first of all, shout out to Luke with the transparency, man. Because one thing about this all these director's cuts, I have to give Bungie so much credit, man. Like I've never seen, I'm sure I'm age now. I've been around a while, and I've never seen that level of transparency, honesty, and it goes to show you, like, Reckoning was designed around that whole super and that exotic just to try to make it challenging. And I feel for them on the design level, right? You really feel for them that they have to go through all these things to try to circumvent something that makes you kind of stand in a stationary spot and be kind of invulnerable and unload. And he actually combined the whisper or the worm talk in there and how they had to bring that back. And they almost wish they didn't, bring it in its initial phase in Destiny 2. I think they kind of felt pressure to the fact that Destiny 2 started off, we didn't feel powerful. And they kind of fell into that trap. But we got to give them something, and then that's the whisper. But long story short, we know coming Shadowkeep, there's definitely going to be some nerfs. There's that we saw it. I think even like it might hit Skull of Diamkara, kind of levels of nerf.
That was a bad one.
That was a bad one, but I got it. You know
baby.
why I got it?
Yeah.
Because then like right after they introduced Juju. Could you imagine Juju? Skull? It would have been nuts.
This is why I wanted Skull to just change into something else. Because like I just didn't want it to be like, oh, now you get 20% of your super instead of 100. Because that just killed it. I'd rather just have it be tweaked into something more interesting.
Good point.
And I'm worried that's what they'll do with Phoenix Protocol too. But
that's actually a great point in reference to, again, if you're going to nerf that ability, then it's really not going to be a desired exotic, right? So at some point, you made a great point, Paul, which is change the functionality, make it do something else so it still has function and it's not just reliant on super energy or regeneration. But all in all, it's cool to see them talk about this and how they're going to move with boss encounters, moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, you guys pretty much covered everything. It was just crazy when you think of matchmaking into Reckoning. For one, depending on the day that the modifier was like, nope. Because if it was
Blackout, nope.
Yeah, nope. Blackout, nope. Was like,
glass,
come on, smash, glass. Oh my god. Yeah, let me be glass with snipers and smashies, and you may as well just make it glass blackout, and I can just kiss my own butt. So, I mean, the modifiers were one, but it's two, as you say. Like, if you think about going random, it's a match-made place. But if you go match-made into there, and you're like, hey, I want to run Chaos Reach, Golden Gun, and hammers, you guys are all screwed. Like, if you go in without that, and that takes away, as you said, you force people to play a certain way, and that's not what they want. So, again, they've learned a lot in the past 6 months. It has been an interesting journey. I'm not going to harp too much on this one because we have so much to talk about for armor. I do want to say a quick shout out. What do you guys think of the new look on the Pursuits tab?
Oh, thank God.
Better. I think it's better. I still wish there was a quicker way to access it on console rather than on PS4. You have to hit the center pad and then scroll over. And I know PC's getting a hotkey, but
yeah, I agree. Yeah, console is definitely gonna need something.
We just got to get you on PC.
Yeah,
with cross save, you got
5 days.
6 weeks.
Yeah, I can get a PC. But
look at each shot his indoctrination early. Look at him. He got me over it, so he's working on you right now. Don't worry about it.
It's fine. It's totally worth it. Totally worth it. I know that's something a lot of people. I just thought that was hilarious when Luke walks in. He's like, "Have you read it?" And they're like, "What? No, please don't read it."
Oh yeah.
Oh, so man, that's got to be rough when that's your game director and be like, "We're so sorry."
Yeah. Let's be honest. It was kind of the way it was just brought in. Yeah, it was kind of rough. It was kind of rough, man. That extra, it's just so annoying to hit that extra button, and you need bounties and pursuit
You keep
separate.
rearranging the order.
Yeah, it's rough.
Where did my quest go? Yeah, that was the best part. And also we've got a touch on Eververse for one that's going to the director. So I don't know if Tess is just like out of a job. Did they like kick her to the curb? Or are we just gonna like interact with her in orbit? What do you guys think?
It's probably both, I think. I mean, they just want store to be able to be accessed from anywhere. That's kind of a common game thing now,
Right.
where they just let you find it from the menu no matter what. Like Anthem does that. Like I think the Division does that too. It's you can go to a vendor, but you can also just hit a button.
Yeah. But it did seem like they were handling it well. I mean, if you have 3 of 5 pieces, you get a 60% discount. Seems to be going in the right direction, but I did kind of appreciate, and if you're wondering, that's probably the sound, by the way, because that's just a follow. When they actually said, though, like, Whisper of the Worm's ornaments paid for 0 hour.
Yeah, that was cool. Cool.
It's cool to hear direct kind of results like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we've had this discussion many times, and technically they're independent studio right now, right? So it's just like
they're an indie, sure.
Sure, yeah, they're small little indie guy.
800 person
biggest indie ever.
But yeah, man, like when I hear stuff like that, I have no problems, supporting a game again where it's not affecting the gameplay. It's going directly to the studio. We know since the split, it's going to them. And I actually, when I saw that information, when he put that out there, I thought that was really cool. That was able to fund that, because let's be honest, we all love 0 hour, man. 0 hour, I mean, for the most part, that was so well done. Yeah.
So as they're independent now, and you see stuff like that, are you more willing to sometimes? I mean, you may just buy them all anyway, but are you more willing to, at least in the back of your mind, be like, feel a little better about it if you normally would buy it? Does it help knowing that they're independent, where the money's going to them?
For me personally, yeah. I'll let Paul go.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I was pretty much buying all the ornaments I wanted anyway, even in the Activision era.
I'll just take everything.
Love it.
But I mean, I overall I like the idea of direct purchases more. I think it's good they're moving away from loot box engrams. It is going to result in probably fewer things just given out for free overall. But I think targeted buying of things is good, and I think there probably will be more people that are more willing to buy stuff now that they hear things like, oh, if I buy this, I'm funding the next dungeon instead of just giving money to Activision.
Exactly.
Indeed. So that's kind of the general big touches on part 1. It's a great read if you guys haven't read it, so please do. It's awesome to see his words. Kind of, he's got a good sense of humor to everything about it. I mean, and it's also in a point where you see a game director says, yeah, this wasn't good. I mean, when they acknowledge something, when the whole community tends to say it as well, it's nice of them to say, yeah, this isn't great, or this feels way too overpowered. They went through a lot of the same things we do. They just can't make the changes as fast as, of course, tomorrow, which everybody wants it to be. So after Director's Cut Part 1, we now come to Armor 2.0, and I think this is going to be obviously a big piece of the discussion. I did a video about Armor 2.0 in about 5 minutes. That was a struggle, but it squeezed in. But we've got a lot of stuff to cover. So first, from that whole stream, what are some of the things that you guys are excited about from that? Just a couple things that you see as, potential for like a good thing coming out of that stream. And then also we'll get to the downsides maybe, but what do you guys think you're excited about from that stream?
For me, I'd say when this first hit, I was like a little mixed on it, but the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of excited about it overall, which is the fact that almost all the armor in the game can be Armor 2.0 now. And I know that you can't just like pull it from collections, like maybe that would make sense. But the fact that you really are going to have a huge range of cosmetics now, because it's pretty much every armor set in the game outside of like factions and trials and I don't even, maybe the Revelry set, I don't know. But so just to hear that, yeah, I got to regrind some stuff or whatever, but at least I will have the ability to have my cosmetics be that wide. And I was worried that they were going to just be like, oh yeah, we have, these your 3 sets, and like we're going to slowly introduce your 1 and 2 sets, like trickling it out like they kind of do the old guns, where they like every season there's like 3 new guns from the whole time. So overall, I think that's good news, even though initially I was like, oh, I got to do all 5 weeks of EP again when I just finished. I do think that's good news overall. That's just one point, but I'll let you guys go.
Cognito, what do you got?
Yeah, man. Listen, I didn't know what to expect. I came in with very tempered expectations. E, you know I'm gonna ask you because I know this is your jam. This is what your heart was set on this. But for me, it was one of those things. Let me see how they're gonna evolve. And I thought it was an interesting approach in the sense that, the thing I was concerned about was, okay, what happens to prior armor? And they're saying, no, you can keep that. That can still coexist with, with the new set. We're not forcing a transition on you. We expect you at some point to ease off because let's be honest, we all have, a bunch of gear set with such double scavenger perks and what I'm saying. The builds that we currently have that are really great.
My vault?
Yeah, I know your vault's crazy. And then just think about, the guys with the 5, super mod stacks and grenade mod stacks. Shout out my boy Fallout. He's got the disgusting controversial whole build right now. And it's just he's just not a good person. You know what I'm saying? Nope. But it's one of those things that I like that they're introducing something new, but they're not forcing it, And the first thing I saw was just like, okay, we have that options as far as customization, and that whole almost like a pick 10 kind of a system where, you kind of placing things, but hey, you can't have this and you can't have this. And then they're letting so overall, I'm cool with it. I was a little concerned about the arc element thing at first. I was like, how's that going to work? I know, Tassi, you touched on that, in your latest article today. We'll get back to you. But overall, man, I have to say, like, I'm feeling really good about getting armor, each having its own specific stat roll, and then kind of playing. So almost each drop is going to be meaningful, and that kind of excites me. So overall, I was pretty good with it. E, it's on you. I can't wait. This is what I've been waiting for all week. I want to hear my man Ebontis. What is your feeling on this? Because you had high expectations, bro.
The thing that got me the most is the fact that you can see your ghost behind you, or your ghost and your sparrow in the inventory. No, I'm just kidding. No, that is actually really cool. Like, that's one of those little things. When they brought it up, I was like, oh, that looks cool. Like, that was one of those things I did not expect, actually. For me, Armor 2.0 is, first we got the stats back. So now we got 6 stats to work with. We're feeling definitely more the RPG feel, because you've got resistance, reload, ability, recharge times, things like that are all a big deal. You've got the tiers, everything they talk about in the stats. Mine is, as I get deeper, I want to know more questions, kind of wondering. So I know, like, your Solstice set, if people do it, is going to be your first set. Cool, you get a set roll. Okay. Now my curiosity is, they say the stats are going to be randomly rolled. Is it going to be out of a certain amount, or are you actually going to be able to get like a god roll? Because if you see, look at the bottom of any of the armor stats, it'll say like total number. It's kind of barely has basically a total number below it, and it'll be like 60. And then when they masterworked them, they went up to 72 or something like that. I'm honestly wondering, like, do all helms have 60 stats, or are there helms that can roll with a total of 60, total of 70, maybe a total of 80? And is that where the grind is going to be? So that's a question we don't have an answer to, but that's what I'm really curious about to know. Hey, maybe does the raid armor have a higher loot or a higher stat pool to distribute over the stats? That's like the bigger question I've got. With regards to the solar, the arc, the void, as I'm going through it, I was like, oh, this is kind of, then I thought about it more. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then we kind of, people have been digging into, and then Luke's tweet yesterday talking about I won't steal your thunder, but you're going to have a little more variety than we kind of thought we would. But you're going to be limited. Somebody also said, if I want to run Risk Runner with like an arc resistance, that's not going to be there, because the way the submachine guns are going to be. So there are certain limitations to the builds, but I do like, thank God for me and my vault, that generally you're going to be able to keep one of each type of armor, a solar, an arc, and a void, whatever fits your playstyle the best, and have one of each of those. You don't have to have 19 different helmets to hope you have a sniper rifle loader, grenade launcher, rockets, submachine guns, auto rifle. You just pick and choose, and it's 500 glimmer. And shout out to the glimmer cap increase. We got 250,000.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Praise
that
the
was
Lord.
a big one.
That was huge. That was huge.
So
overall, I don't. I'm not getting ringing endorsement. I'm not feeling that this praise that I thought I was going to hear today.
I was like, okay, I love the fact that you can customize, that you can take a piece of armor and be like, hey, I want machine guns right now. I'm switching over. Bam, 500 glimmer, and you're probably going to have it. You can switch that stuff over. You don't have to have 50 different sets, which is great. But mine is more, as I think about it more, it's just some questions that I've got. So it's just wondering how deep did they dive into the RPG? It's like, do all helmets have 72 stats just distributed across of them? Or are there actual rolls when you pick up one, it's got 59, the other it's got 71. You're like, well, hell yeah, this one's better. So that's a question more than anything. But I do like the fact that now when I pick up any piece of armor, it's going to be worth a look. Because I got to know, is it the right class? Is it or energy type? And is it going to be worth maybe better a stat roll? And I'm not going to be burned too much if it's like everything's 70, like everything's a set amount per like helm example. But I hope there's some variety there, but because you are still going to go for builds. But once you kind of get your build, if you can't get those a little bit higher, it is going to lower some of the longevity of things. So
Tassi seems like he's chomping at the bit on this.
Well, I'm trying to, I don't know if this is an answer to your question or not, but I know that it was said in the Luke Smith thing that I think maybe it's from yesterday where you can get armor rolls where you can have like max discipline without mods. But I don't know if that means like you have like 0 in every other stat and then that, or if it's like you said, and some pieces can just roll flat out better than others. And like I would hope that's the system, because like if everything just has like 50 or 60 points or whatever it is, like distributed among all the stats and just the little bars move, and like none is like clearly better than any other unless it's just one bar you like is higher. I think it would be better to have some up to a cap of like 70 or 80 or whatever it is, that's the kind of thing you're grinding for. Because one of my fundamental questions with this entire system is, okay, if armor if cosmetics are out the window, like what is really the point of grinding armor now if everything is just empty slots? And so the two answers to that are the stat rolls, but we still have questions on that. And then the elemental system, which is kind of awkward, and I think it's confusing in a few ways. Like it's clearly confusing because people are complaining about it, and now we don't know if we should be complaining about it. But without that, there would be a lot. That's at least like kind of tripling the grind as opposed to only like trying to grind for just different stat bar increases or decreases. So I understand why it's in place. I just think it's a little awkward and confusing, and we're probably just gonna have to see it in practice to know how it feels. And if it's, I think we'll all get used to it pretty quickly, but I can see like new players showing up and be like, oh, I have this like solar fusion rifle loader icon, like that's not going to work for my arc fusion rifle, right? And like it's those systems aren't connected, but there's just some kind of confusing aspects to it. But I don't know, maybe people will just get used to it over time.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely it's going to be one of those things we're going to have to get hands on with it and then, get acclimated. I think for me, the key that I like was just like being masterworking to me actually has value. I like that's a huge thing because we all know currently as masterwork stands, it's a joke. I mean, I'm not spending that. You did the math on how much resources needed to do for such a, incremental kind of a boost. So that part I like. I do like the versatility of having, for example, like, a linear fusion rifle, scavenger and another weapon reloader, and having that kind of flexibility. I thought that was cool. I like the aspects that some of the armor is going to come in. So you might get something that drops at a 7. You might get something that drops at a 5, that kind of thing. And then obviously we assuming pinnacle sources, I know we'll get to that, are going to be really important because one thing I hated was like, when you can only it was so hard to get something like enhanced targeting acquisition or something that's really desirable. Right. So now that they're making that clear path to say, okay, pinnacle activities are going to be where a lot of this stuff kind of resides at, that excites me. So again, a lot of questions. I agree. I think overall, and I think what's cool about them, what I like that they're doing is they're saying, look, we're not even sure if this is, the way, so to speak. We're still they're still saying to us as a studio, they're finding their way with this stuff. But I think the evolution towards MMO is in the right path. So I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes.
This system is easy to fix too. So like if it becomes too restrictive, all they have to do is be like, all right, we're going to do Arc and Void copies of this Arc mod. Yes. And like you can grind for those now too. Like the end. That's pretty much all they would need to do to kind of fix diversity if that's even necessary. So correct. I think they have a lot of options and a lot of flexibility with the new system.
Completely agree.
It's like I do like the idea that now you can. I mean, as she, I think it was Lisa on stream. She specialized pretty heavy in the linear fusions, but it was, hey, I want to go reserves on linear fusions, scavenge on. I want to always make sure I've got ammo, and she was running around and she had it all the time. Now you can't like double triple stack per se, but Luke's second piece, part 2, actually did say. Or it was the tweet. I forget which one. I've read too many. the base armor is going to like basically start it with your generic rolls of like large arms, small arms, rifles. You're going to have your basic rolls that come with it, and then you'll unlock the more specialized. And the idea is they're cheaper. So like if you go large arms loader, yeah, it works on a lot of things, but it's going to take more energy to use. So you're not going to be able to get quite as specialized. So
shout out to Bender in the chat real quick. He actually said that the point I think we all didn't say.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff is not consumable.
Oh, I know.
Like, that's huge.
That's the best change so far. Yeah.
That's the one we just huge. Thank you, by the way. Totally missed
thanks,
that.
Bender. Yeah, once you unlock, it's yours. You can move around. That's cool. I like that.
That creates. I mean, with the pinnacle things for enhanced stuff, like those are going to be some of the most valuable drops in the game now.
Absolutely.
Like because of how widely available they are as permanent unlocks. Like once you get enhanced sniper targeting, you can put that on literally anything, presumably all year long. So I'm hoping that they're not going to do like, okay, enhanced sniper is exclusive to the raid and you can only grind the raid for that. Like I'm hoping there's like a pool and then there's like a pinnacle activity collection that's like Iron Banner raids, I don't know, like Heroic Menagerie, and then some new activity or something where you at least can like pick
Dungeon.
Between
That's what I'm waiting for.
Shattered Throne guy over here. Look at him. Look at him.
Dungeon. That'd be perfect too. Like something else you can grind for that isn't like, okay, I have to grind Iron Banner just to get, enhanced loader of whatever. So hopefully they know that would be bad, but we don't have any confirmation on that yet.
Those do seem cool though. Yeah, it's nice, the specialization. It is interesting though. You look it through, because I'm assuming the stream, it may not, take it with a grain of salt. There could be changes between now and release. But with what we see, if they're going to show us, they're usually pretty close to what they're working with. And you even take things, modifiers like Ashes to Assets and Enhanced Bomber. Those are solar based. And those are on the class item, but they're solar. Like that's...
I need my light reactor for my fusions, man.
I saw that.
I'm causing damage with that right there. I got a crazy build in PvP, bro. That's the one I need so bad. I'm just disgusted just getting my super back on.
I think I'm wondering honestly, and this is where I kind of wonder, as they're going to let you use old and new, and they've moved some of the perks around. Reserves typically, like the big reserves, like machine guns, rockets, grenades, the big ones are sitting on your helmet. So I wonder if anybody saves like, hey, I've got sniper reserves on an old helm, but they stack it with like a new chest and they put reserves there. Is that how they're going to be able to double stack now? I'm wondering if people save some of that old stuff and they're able to break some things that way, or if they're just going to be like, reserves are capped at 1 no matter where you get it from. I don't know how they're going to do it.
That would be my guess, but they haven't said yet. So
got a question too. What happens to Ada with her specific pool of Black Armory mods? Right? Like I know that I don't get the vibe that they're getting, but she's got a unique pool, right? So I'm just curious how that works. I'm assuming Gunsmith is still going to be a source of a lot of the new mods, but will she be reworked? Is she going to just stay? I mean, don't get me wrong, I got no problem go getting my.
Well, she's more weapon mods though, right? She's
What I would hope, because aren't they all weapon mods for Ada?
Yeah, Ada's all weapon, but I'm just curious if she gets
like
any
Scourge of the Past or taken armaments. You're talking more that type of stuff.
That too, but I'm just because the vibe, at least the vibe I'm getting is they are slowly transitioning us away, from that. Right, not initially, but slowly. So I guess my question is her role going to stay exactly the same, or will she evolve and also provide other things? Because to be honest, like I go to her regular, right? I go get my mod components. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting things from her, so I'm just curious how her role changes, diminishes, or just stays the same.
My guess is that she won't change for this, but if they end up doing Guns 2.0 and they at least change the gun system to use permanent unlock mods, I would hope that they wouldn't just scrap her and that they would like
see ya, just kick her out of the tower
robot. But like I would hope that there would be some sort of new Black Armory grind where you grind the forges for like Rampage spec or as a permanent unlock. And like there would be no reason not to do that, and it would give people the reason to do old content and
facts.
So and the stuff that's like taking armaments and stuff, that's probably a more immediate concern because my guess is that they're just not gonna automatically be like, oh yeah, there's a permanent taken armaments mod you can unlock in the raid, like go nuts. Like that would be cool. I just don't see that happening. So in order to use those, you might still have to be using like your 2 armor, but I don't know. We'll see.
So do you think those are going to be like, if you go back and run Crown of Sorrow, for example,
Mhm.
do you think you're going to be able to get any of those as a permanent unlock, or is that going to be incentive to run those?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
It would be nice.
I wondered.
Don't think so though. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
That would be so powerful to have that as a because like think about
Always
how much
there,
people would
just-
grind just for those, and to get a permanent like taking
I agree.
armaments on everything.
It's a game changer. That's a
Busted.
game
I
changer.
mean, it would
Gambit's
probably be
already
the most
busted.
valuable thing in the game you could even get because of how diverse.
Absolutely.
Again, like I'm all for it. I think it'd be cool, but I have a
Mhm.
hard time seeing that happening.
I agree.
That's like getting
we got you.
I was going to say that's about the drop is rarer than anything in the game.
Mhm.
But I also think Gambit would be ultra broken again. So
Yes.
Oh yeah.
and I wonder if that's one of the reasons why they might kind of steer away from those is to help see how Gambit does. I mean, if you don't run, you can run a stack of people who are organized and talk and still stack your damage, which they're going to talk about. But if you don't have mods and people running around, I don't even have any of those mods for Taken, and I still sometimes happen to have 200 bullets of machine gun. And I'm like, this is like kind of broken for a mode that should be competitive, or I could just dump all the damage.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That'll be good for you
heavy's
on
a
that
big
too.
thing in Gambit. That'll be, but yeah, taking those mods out for everything will be. They want you to transition, and they're not going to force you, but it is going to be interesting when that time comes that everybody's mostly on year 3, where those mods sit, if they're just turning into mod components or what.
Yeah. Last point. I'm actually now more incentivized to do Leviathan, all the old raids to get the newer versions of that armor. I'm really pumped about that because I got to get some stuff done. I got some catalysts I got to get done.
You gotta win the fashion contest. So.
Here you
Bro,
go.
I need my shaders, man. I got to get in this. That now incentivizes me to wait the Shadow Keep, run those old raids, baby. Get that stuff. Get that
I hope we're moving towards a permanent shader unlock system. Like that's the next logical.
That has to happen at
Thing.
some point.
I'm sure there's like technical difficulties or whatever because they're separate systems, but like clearly that would be a good system.
Yes.
Can
we
there
need
also be an
shaded
apply to
2.0.
all?
Yeah,
these?
that's what I was thinking
Oh
in
my
the stream
God.
too. Watching them go through each piece, I'm like, this is not in your
no.
cosmetic redesign. That wasn't a focus.
Yeah, that
That's-
wasn't just apply to all button. Be like, and it's just on the main screen. Just have like a shader in the corner, and you could go up and just apply it to everything you got. Just straight up. Be like, I want to be Black Armory mod. Done. It may take a minute to load. That's okay if you're on console, but
you don't want to go to collections and buy Black Armory and go to your thing, apply it to each of them individually.
Bro.
Oh, that just hurts that hurts me a lot.
What else we got here?
So we've got universal ornaments as we're kind of talking about cosmetics anyway. A lot of that, do you guys, I'm thinking, is going to be most of the universal ornaments are the Eververse sets you've earned over the past couple of years. Is that, if from the previous discussion, that's what most all that's coming from?
I think so. Minus a couple of things, maybe like the old Iron Banner ornaments or the old like Crucible ornaments,
ones,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
I'm mad though. I ain't gonna get my new Monarchy. I need that. I like they
they gotta. I think they're gonna. My prediction is faction based season at some point, and that's how I think they're gonna bring that stuff back. Then in theory they should make factions kind of a permanent fixture in the game like they used to be.
Yeah.
But I bet it would be introduced in something like that.
I hope so, man. I need my Hideo shaders. I need that gold. I need all my premium looks, man. That's my favorite. I literally went to that faction just for the shaders. Just put it out.
Oh yeah, I still use all the faction shaders. Well, except Future War Call because those shaders are terrible. But
you don't like the skin. You don't like the Skittles pool.
Skittles rainbow pool. Oh my god. It's like, no, these are futuristic. Like, well, the future people in the future are blind. Come on. No, you got the monochrome, and then you got like the premium gold shine. And then, like,
bro,
it's like, who designed the other one?
You got the lion head on, man.
Well, it's like you got Gryffindor that's got its epic nature. You got Slytherin, it's black and green, and then all of a sudden, like Hufflepuff comes in the background over there.
Taste the rainbow.
Oh man.
Salute. We slandering Future World right now.
Sorry. Lakshmi, she's not happy right now up in her little future bunker space chairs.
Oh yeah. Salute to Lakshmi.
I haven't even gone I totally was thinking, I was like, I haven't been up in the little space bunker with the little pod chair things and stuff like that.
Hey, look, tell me you don't look like a Starbucks and they got Wi-Fi up in it.
Oh,
Be real. Be real. Don't look like a futuristic Starbucks, bro.
Starbucks, yeah.
Space Bucks.
Let me stop.
Trying to think of anything else for the armor. So we've got the energy types, which, as you said, will be kind of one of your roles. We've got set mods that you'll unlock that'll just kind of slot in. You won't be able to double stack, but the energy will be there. So what do you guys think? This is, I guess, the other piece I was trying to get to. The new currencies we've got to get. How, because already like enhancement cores for infusion, not everybody loves, which is still probably looking like it's going to be there. And then now these are going to be your masterwork. Now you only say you masterwork like 3 sets of armor. You don't have to do it as often. But those new currencies, they said they might be tied to things like nightfalls and stuff like that. And they said they don't want them to be famine. But I haven't usually seen that stuff be too generous either. So I was curious your guys' thoughts on the new currencies since they are introducing 2 more because we don't have enough already.
Yeah, go for it, bro.
Yeah.
I get why they did it. It's so people who have like 2,000 enhancement cores that they either got legitimately or illegitimately can't.
I have 400. I don't
spam
have
them all and tier 10 masterwork everything off the bat.
That's what he's hoping for. That one, right?
I guess, yeah, it is. It's interesting because tier 10ing stuff is going to be very important going forward because that's how you're going to get the max amount of good mods. So it will be a commitment to use those kind of final stage things to get there. I think it's like the last 3 levels or something, like two require
8 and 9 are
prismatic
prisms and then
cores and then ascendant things. So again, that seems like something that's probably going to be in Pinnacle, or it could be tied to weekly milestones. So you get a set amount if you show up every week. I mean, hopefully they've learned some kind of lessons from the enhancement core nonsense, and like that's been mostly solved with bounties, so it's not that bad anymore. But if they learn those lessons and then don't just completely starve people, I think it'll be okay. And I get why they did it, but we're gonna have to see how it is when it shows up. So my guess is it might take a couple weeks to earn enough for at least your first full tier 10 set. Like I don't even know if you'll get enough ascendant orbs or whatever it is, shards. I don't know, I lost track. But in week 1 to like tier 10 a set right off the bat. So that's another reason they're probably gonna have these to delay progression at least a little ways into the season.
Agreed. I completely see it as a design choice because of guys like Ebontis, who has all these cores, has all these things on stash.
I haven't spit them. It's different. I have like 500, and I don't even have as many as some people on Twitter. So
that's a lot, man. That's a lot, bro. I'm bad.
It's
I'm masterworking everything these days. But all jokes aside, I think you nailed it, Paul. I think that's exactly the reason. I think that the key is, one would hope they've learned their lesson with the whole enhancement core thing, as far as sources. Now we finally get in a good place. You do your gunsmith bounties. You're able to get a consistent source and of them. And I'm hoping that it's going to be not something that's so scarce to get that final level, that we'll be able to masterwork stuff. But I think they're gonna slow us in the beginning. They're gonna make it kind of like a Pinnacle kind of thing. But we'll see. I think it's the right call overall. I'm not too upset with it. That's what you. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's just going to make you think a little more, or you'll kind of be stuck in a playstyle a little while as you think about exotics, because those aren't going to be cheap to do, and you're not just going to switch out exotics quickly. Because it's going to take masterworking the other side, masterworking another piece of armor. If you find a new exotic that kind of fits your playstyle, you're probably going to live with it for a little while, I would imagine.
Yeah. Real quick, how do we feel about the exotics pulling them out of collection having different roles, right? That's going to be the new vibe.
In there.
Set role now, right?
Well, it's set role in the sense like it'll have a set element and a set stat distribution, but it's going to be 2.0 in the sense where it has blank slots to put
so to speak. Yeah.
So I think that's good because no one wants to. Well, you could re-earn all the legendary armor. No one wants to go and re-earn like 50, 60 armor exotics. Like that would be very disappointing. So I think that's a good. And they did that when they went to armor 1.0 from year 1 to year 2.
Yes.
Where you could pull it from collections and it would have at least some fixed role. They're usually bad rolls.
They're terrible. They're awful.
Yeah. It's like primary ammo finder and everything.
Oh.
But, I'm glad that's going away. I don't even hope that's an option.
Bury that.
Yeah. Wait, didn't they split ammo finder into like each thing?
Yeah, so you can specialize ammo finders now, and they have the special boxes that are on the ground from the Strike preview. So
do they not have that for primary? There's no like pulse rifle ammo finder, is there?
Yeah, there was like hand cannon.
Is there?
Ammo
Okay,
finder.
there is it for all the primaries too. Okay.
Yeah, I don't run out of primary. I don't know about anybody
Who's
else.
running out of primary like that? That's
unless you have what's it, sustenance or subsistence?
Mm-hmm.
Subsistence or something. Yeah.
Subsistence. Yeah, I always mix it up, but that's about the only time.
Yeah, well, that one, and then if you just hold down recluse is about the only other time. But generally, I'm not really running out of hand cannon ammo in a normal PvE fight. That's not something I'm dying for. So those always kind of make me wonder. Now, especially like ammo finders for special and heavy, yeah, bring it all day because grenades and rockets and stuff specifically, sure. But the primaries, I don't think so.
I like the finder system where it shows you which ammo is generated.
Yeah, that's cool.
For years now, everyone is like, "Is this working? Is this broken?" Or is this it? But it was probably just RNG, but you can't tell. But now you can tell. So that's good.
I think this is the way to fix heavy ammo finder because nobody knew if it worked.
Yeah, nobody knew if it worked. Remember, they were like, people were saying it was a disadvantage if you ran two and all this stuff based on, on Reddit and
stuff.
Are we
going to get Ruin Wings back now? And then we can see Ruin
Wings is like little wings on the ammo boxes.
Yeah. Actually, a good segue to bring it back. Because I'm yeah, you planned it. That was a good call. I'm planning, what I said, Tychonaut definitely coming back in my opinion.
Tychonaut.
Yeah, I thought they showed it. It has to come.
It has to come back.
That's the one that gave tracking to everything.
Tracking to rockets, yeah. It fits thematically with the moon. Like, it has to come back. These are just those are two good ones.
It would seem fitting. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of anything else for the stream. We actually have been moving decently fast.
I mean, I will say the one lingering kind of temporary disappointment I have with Armor 2.0 is that fundamentally we haven't seen any new mods.
Yeah,
and it's just so I'm not sure. Like, we know that like the artifact is going to introduce like temporary mods that are going to be cool that could be added, but from what we know right now, it's pretty much all the same mods that we already have, just kind of rearranged and with more customization. So like the new customization system is cool, but I think one of the problems with Armor has always been that it's just not the mods aren't that exciting. It's like they're helpful. Like you can reload faster, you can aim better, you can a couple of them are like super regenerating, but like we've seen with guns have been introducing at least some new perks over time, swashbuckler and multi-kill clip, and like they're at least adding new stuff into the mix, and we just haven't seen anything like that yet. So fundamentally, like we might have like lower cooldowns is like the thing that you notice the most, but I don't know how much gameplay is actually going to change unless there's a bunch of like hidden awesome mods that we don't see. And we might even lose some mod functionality if we're not getting things like the Take-In or Hive or those kind of mods back. So
good point. That's a good question. I mean, we'll see. I guess the only question I have is, with raids, and me and you have gone back and forth with this, with D1 and how we used to getting armor that kind of encourage specific raid mechanics and to help you with raid mechanics. And I feel since D2 is launched, they tried to reintroduce it later with Leviathan and doing a little extra energy bumps and damage buffs and grenade stuff. But I never felt since D2 was launched that raid armor has perks that actually help you with the mechanics of the raid. And I really hope they somehow get back to that. I just don't know how to implement it because I missed that. I missed doing Wrath of the Machine, and you had the damage reduction with the bomb stuff, or whatever it was that was a mechanic, since Vault, shooting the oracle, doing more damage to oracles. That kind of stuff incentivized the gear. It made it even more worthwhile and rewarded you for continually running the activity. So I would hope at some point they get back to that. I'm just concerned that maybe an afterthought. I don't know what you guys think.
No, I mean,
the stuff they have now is pretty generic. It's like 20% solar damage on Leviathan or something. So I don't really know why they got rid of that.
Yeah, I miss that, man. I really do. Like, standing in this well, you reload faster, and stuff. Imagine stuff like that. You're in the callous plate and you get the 5% extra damage buff. It's just something that gets back to the mechanics. You know what I'm saying? And it really rewards you. I really miss that.
I mean, even in callous, you could have you could get goofy with the buff and just say, hey, if you're wearing 5 pieces, like every piece is 2%. But it's like, if you're cursed, because you're just flipping a buff back and forth in there.
Right.
Say if you're cursed, you take a little less damage. If you're not cursed, you do a little more damage or something like that. Just a way to give you incentive to be, why would I wear all 5 pieces if I don't have perfect rolls on those pieces?
That's what
What
I'm
is
saying.
my reason? Yeah.
You just which transition to me my next thought, and I know I'm going long on this, but the whole, you know how we feel about armor sets, and I think one thing
stealing the words out of my mouth. So
the division does well is armor set bonuses, because as of right now, there's no incentive to take off an exotic armor, right? There's no incentive. But imagine if we had that. I mean, Gambit Prime was the closest we've gotten, right? Where you've had the set on and each one gives you some type of statistical bump for that activity. We kind of need to get back to that, because it's such a cool mechanic. I just wish they kind of stole that from Division. I love that Division really does that. Mm-hmm. Slow-mo in the chat already with his Division slate. Look, he's pro Division. He's like, yeah, Division.
That's the biggest thing for me that I've wanted since, and they teased it too with Gambit, and it was like, oh, you can use it on one bubble in your director. I'm like, I have like 50 more. What about those? So for me, it's been, say if I go to the European Dead Zone and Devrim K has a set that's going to help me with fallen damage, and what somebody would be like, well, what if that helps you in a future raid against fallen? I'm like, then so be it, but that's incentive to go back to that planet. That's exactly what you want. I'm going to go play on the European Dead Zone as opposed to be like, bye. And, you know, you could go to Titan for Hive, and you could pick a planet and have the vendor do that. And those types of things I think would be really, really good, and they've missed kind of an opportunity, because they now know set bonuses work. And I think that was their first time to test that it can. So I just really want, maybe in future seasons, if they start to open up, like the world vendors, yeah, they're going to have Armor 2.0 and stats, but I don't know if there's still much reason to go to them. But as you said, like, I'm hoping there's, you know, Eris on the moon. Please tell me there's something for, there should be a Hive bonus for, like, getting the armor from her, or the raid armor. Something along those lines would be.
Even the full solstice state, it looks so cool. Just give us a little extra bonus of wearing all 5, you know, like, it would be so cool, man. I really want that so bad.
Yep. So I think somehow we actually got through armor a lot faster than I thought we would. There's a lot to cover there, but we've been staring at it for so many days.
Director's cut to go. Come on.
Hey, Director's Cut 2. So big one. Yeah, so big one, Director's Cut 2. We are talking about the future now. So a couple things that we are, it's been a busy year, so he said, let's recap, obviously. But adding, it's like the care and feel of feeding the RPG. It's like add depth, improve customization. So he goes into a little bit about armor, which we've touched on. But he did make that clarification. The first thing, I guess there was some confusion with regards to microtransactions and armor sets and stuff like that. Those are still going to be there. And I think he was very emphatic to make that clear, to say you're still going to be able to earn your moon armor sets and things like that. And he mentioned one thing, I don't know if you guys caught it. It's going to go to I made a sweet set of Astro Shaman gear at the rune table. That's a nice little that has to be for the moon, because for
I wonder if that was on purpose or not.
I was like, you know, it's curated, it has to be. But I was like, I joked about with Cognito about his set. I was like, man, the Warlock, your new space armor looks like a shaman. That literally reads verbatim right there. Astro Shaman gear. And we don't have an activity called the Rune Table and Eris and Hive runes. I'm like, yeah, that's something new. So I kind of wondered what you guys thought about that. Do you think she's just going to have a kind of a vendor, a table sitting next to her, kind of like we have with Osiris, and you're making stuff there? Or do you think it's going to be something more like public event type thing where you actually have to go craft it while we fight, like a forge?
My thought was it's probably going to be a variant of the chalice system to a certain extent. Because I mean, the rune table, we're sliding runes in the chalice. Like, my guess is that it'll just be some sort of similar system to that. I mean, obviously we're not going to be running Menagerie for it, but I mean, he also teases some like unnamed activity that's new. Redacted. So it could be something from that. You could earn rune sources from other places. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we're going to still be earning Menagerie runes on top of drowning in runes, but I think they realize that everybody likes the targeted farm. So it's got to be some variants of that, whether, like, I don't know if it'll just be for new sets or if it'll be for a wider range of things, but that's my best guess, is it's going to be something along those lines.
Yeah, man.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing. I think it's definitely going down that, that route. Very curious to see what Redacted is. Dying to know what this activity is going to be. You know, they've been
I
on fire.
want me a dungeon. Outside of that, I'm good.
I already know what your
They'll
request
definitely
is.
have a dungeon for
Oh,
sure.
I know. They've said it. I'm just waiting for it. I'm kind of curious in the
Yeah.
preview because they said the raid's going to be on the Black Garden, so like the architecture is not going to look the way the moon does. But there's these
Right.
like spinning, rotating, spiny
The
things at one
spikes,
point.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
that's
like,
what I
is
was
that
thinking
going to be in
too.
the dungeon? That's like a hell jumping puzzle you got to like weave your way through.
Something that could
so-
insta kill you is probably going to be in the dungeon.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. So 100%.
Salute. I agree.
Absolutely going to be there. So as we go through, he does a kind of a brief touchback on armor, talking about it. And this is one thing I wanted to actually ask you guys about, just on my perspective. As they said, when it comes to the original stats that we've got, mobility, resilience, and discipline, they know they're bringing in resilience, recovery, and mobility. My bad. Too many words. We know the new ones are going to be for working on recharge times, and they're pretty clear, and they don't seem to be fully linear, but probably like diminishing returns and stuff like that. But they did say they wanted to widen the spread of the range with the old stats, and yet when they go through and show resilience, it's literally 1%. And that's probably about all we're getting out of it right now, because what's the PvP health pool from like 186 to 202 or something, depending on your resilience level? It's not much. And that's, I guess this is the point where I wonder when you get into, and if they want to go farther into an RPG, if like the stats that are probably going to matter more to everybody are going to be the ones that are related to abilities and recharge times, if the other ones don't mean too much. Like if I don't if I don't run any faster, if my health pool doesn't change that much more, recovery still is probably worthwhile. But if those two especially, if you can't move faster and you can't be tankier, like my brother just wants to be a tank.
Yeah.
So if he could go like, if he could be like 100 resilience, he would be happy about it, that he could be like, I'm up there in a Titan, I'm punching stuff, I've got my Sentinel shield, and if it drops, I'm still not going to die. I'm like one squish, maybe two. What do you guys feel? Do you guys do you guys think they may be doing enough, or do you think that might not be there yet?
For me, again, this is how
Or
I
is
look
it
at
even
this
something
whole-
you care about?
No, I do care about it. I mean, especially mobility. Always had that little issue with that. I mean, you know, side to side speed is cool and all, but let's really go there with speed. Let's really take it there. So, you know, again, the vibe I get from all of this is, in my opinion, these are precursor steps. These are transitionary steps to the eventual vision of D3. I don't think we get these jarring things that you may want initially from this. I think they're still in a touch and go. Let's tweak. Let's see how the community responds. Let's see how they like it. Because I do think, let's be honest, like since they've gone independent, this is the first time they even mentioned Destiny in the same sentence with MMO. So now they're embracing it, right? So when they're embracing it, I think it's just baby steps. Let's play with it. Let's tweak it. And if you look at the theme of Luke through all these director's cuts, he's telling you like, hey, we're gonna see how this plays out. And then you're going to let us know, or you guys are going to find things out, and then you guys are going to let us know. So I think it's just part of the process, man. And I think we do eventually get there, E. I definitely do think we get there to that true MMO, that true mid-max, that all these hardcore sensibilities. I just think they want to do it in a very controlled way. That's just the vibe I got. What would you think, Paul?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think it's going to be a very slow process. I think there will be at least some measure of changes. Like I don't know what's exactly been confirmed, but I thought mobility might start to affect things like sprint speed now, and like they're going to broaden that. I don't know if that's, don't quote me on that, but I mean, if it was going to do anything, you would think it would do that. So that needs a lot of work, because I remember I was running the EAZ, my like green warlock build at 0 mobility because you start with no stats, and like it wasn't great, but like you barely really notice a difference, like because it doesn't affect that much. I think we have a long way to get to before we get into like full MMO territory, where like, okay, you have a Titan that's spec'd fully resilient and you just can take twice the damage of anything. Like I can see how that would be cool and that would work, but I can't imagine that's going to be something where they like flip a switch and that's instantly how things are now. Like I think it would be cool to have like a tank, spellcaster, and a jumping melee person. I don't know, whatever the
healer,
whatever the hunter is.
Yeah.
Whatever you
talk that
are.
slander. I like it. Keep that hunter slander going.
Hunter,
But,
healer
like,
/ mix, ninja, assassin. I don't know.
And like I can see that happening. It just, I feel like that's got to be a slow transition, because if they try and just massively change all these stats up front, that may be really disorienting, and then you're going to get stuff like, oh, we're going to have a 6 max stack resilience raid team that just goes through everything or something and just can't die. So I think they got to be careful with it. But that said, they really do need to do that work because those stats have just been so boring for so long. Like the only one I really notice on a consistent basis is recovery, because it's how you can really see your shield coming back like that much faster. But resilience, it's always very nebulous, and mobility, you just don't notice that much. So they need work. I just wonder how much of a difference we're going to see right off the bat in Shadowkeep.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys said everything I was thinking and hoping for. So that's where I'm at. You look at resilience is literally, it's a 1%. It seems like a very linear climb. It's 1 to 10%. It's like, woo. It's like, do I woo that one? And then you've got mobility. I think it was like 4%, still looking pretty linear.
Straight
it's like,
speed.
It was just straight. But yeah, it's like, ooh, this is I'm strafing. Can't hit me. But it's like, if I just go run down a hallway next to you and you have 10 and I have 0, we're the same damn thing. And it's like, that should not be that way. So even if it is 20% faster, and that's one thing, if they, as you said, if they slowly get into that, a slow progression is what I would hope for. But I think the new stats are probably going to be prioritized much more than the others, would be an assumption, because having your abilities, getting your wells and those types of things back faster is probably going to serve people. So you're going to see probably a whole lot of stacks of stat pools that people are happy with when the bottom 3 are pretty high and the top 3 people don't care about. It's
interesting. So they have intelligence, strength, and discipline, but there's nothing that brings your class ability back faster, right? Just mods. That's interesting, because there wasn't a class ability in D1 when they had.
I forgot about that. Correct. Yeah.
I wondered if they were going to bring that back when they talked about Armor 2.0, because it'd be what, a Paragon stat or whatever it's the mod.
Yeah.
So I
think it'll just be mods.
Yeah. So those are still, they haven't quite dive too deep into those things. And then the other piece we get into, as he kind of talks about, goes in a little bit about math, and you've got the tiers. So it's going to be really, if you can have your stats at ending in a 0 perfectly, that's going to be kind of your god setup if you can get there, at least the most efficient version. Everything ending in 0 is going to be pretty important. So then we get into the armor migration. And we talk about going from everything we've been doing for the past year, which we kind of, when we started to get perks, and going into the new system with the stats. And I kind of wanted to get your thoughts. I was saying this to Cognito before you got on, Paul. But I will say, for me at least, I think this has actually been probably the most generous way they could do it, because you could play with your old stuff for as long as you want, and you're going to be able to ease in, as opposed to them just drawing a line in the sand and be like, new season, time to step over that line. So I think that's kind of nice how they've handled that. I just wondered if you guys think there's, how long are you guys planning to hold on to your old gear and stick with, like, hey, I've got an exotic Ursa Furiosa with like double sniper perks. It's like, well, I'm going to live with that one for a while. Like, do you think if they're not going to push people forward, it's a bad thing? Or do you think this is, I guess, kind of the way they almost are forced to do it, the way people are so hold on to their gear type?
Yeah, I think it's fine. People are giving me a lot of crap for the article I read about, like, how it's safe to delete all your armor.
Oh, yeah.
Basically is.
Okay, what I was saying, like, I'm not mandating everyone to delete all their armor. I'm just saying it's
Paul said.
Because, like, pretty much everything's going to have an armor 3.0 source, whether you find that in 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever. But,
5 weeks.
Like, obviously, if you have your best PvE set or PvP set right now, like, keep that and use that for as long as you want. I think this is a good way to go about it. I personally am probably going to start transitioning into 3.0 pretty quickly here, because I imagine at least your initial run-throughs of Shadowkeep story content aren't going to be like crazy challenging activities. So I'd kind of rather just try out the new armor that drops, the new mod systems, and seeing what's unlocked. It depends how fast we can start unlocking things. Like, I know I'm not going to have like enhanced everything in week 1, but I also don't think I need enhanced everything in week 1. Like, if it comes to like running the raid or something, or if there's like an Iron Banner and I want to get like really serious about it, then yeah, I'll probably stick with my like totally tricked out stuff that I have now, because that will still be perfectly functional. But I personally, I'm playing so much, I'm going to get a lot of stuff pretty quickly, I imagine. And like, I have all these mod components saved up, and like, I have upgrade materials. So I see no reason why I can't start shifting into things pretty quickly. But it's good that they're not just like, everything you have is now useless.
Yeah.
It does get a little awkward because you have now year 1 armor with no perks, year 2 armor with perks and consumable mods, and then year 3 armor with permanent mods. And like all those systems are still technically staying in place. So it's a little convoluted and it's kind of weird. It's going to be a transition to kind of phase everything to 2.0, and you probably will end up deleting all your year 1 and year 2 era stuff eventually. But for a while, it's going to be it's even weird that we have like consumable gun mods still and not consumable armor mods. Yeah. So it's kind of an awkward transition phase, but I think that's what it is. I think transition phase. So it's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, listen, until I get my light reactor, my linear faction, linear fusion scavenger. There's certain things I ain't gonna lie, man. I for certain activities, I have a specific spec, and literally per subclass and per activity in PvP. So it's gonna be harder for a guy like me that holds on to those things to let them go, but eventually it will happen. You're gonna get stuff unlocked. You're gonna slowly progress, and I'm gonna have to let go of my little emotional attachment. But in the beginning, for pinnacle stuff, I'm gonna be playing some of my hardcore builds. I'm not gonna lie, So shout out to Ars. He was in the chat. He was saying that he was asking if the old armor can be infused, and I was pretty sure Luke said you can't do that. Yeah, so yeah, you don't have to worry about that. RT86. But yeah, man. I mean, that's how I'm going at it. I think it's going to come down to my RNG. How good is RNG going to be good to me during the first, the campaign of Shadowkeep and as we progress? Because if we get a lot of this stuff pretty early, then yeah, we're going to be throwing the old stuff, away fairly quickly, and then having that ability to just really, customize even more. So how are you going to handle it, Mr. Hall? How are you gonna do it, E? I'm curious.
I've got a day scheduled in late September for Vault Clean Out.
Yes, you should do that live on stream. I want to be there. I want to encourage this
Vault
behavior.
Clean Out ASMR by Ebontis. That's how that's gonna go. No, seriously, because I've got a little bit of everything, and I try and specialize. Because if I get, say, a pair of gauntlets that's like grenade launcher loader and grenade launcher scavenger, I'm like, that's pretty damn specialized, and those don't come up often for my Titan. I'm like, I'm keeping that. So,
bro, I got the same thing. Yeah, I got like some Reverie Dawn joint with sniper reloader, sniper scavenger. Like I got a Whisper and a Darcy build just for that. Like it's gonna be hard until I get that stuff back. Continue.
Yeah. So those types of things I know I'll go through and keep, but I'll definitely be more generous and be like, oh, this is kind of those are normal. Buy like enhanced stuff I might keep if it's like kind of a perfect roll, but most of my stuff is gonna be cleaned out. I will say I'll probably keep a lot of my weapon options because we still don't know what the sandbox is going to do until we get our hands on it. But most of my vault is more armor than weapons, so I'm pretty excited about that. Man. But I do think, they're being, again, as you said, there's 3 different versions of armor technically we have, which is just kind of weird. But they haven't ever drawn a line in the sand, and they're being fairly nice to their player base because if you go into any other expansion or anything like that, you get a new piece of armor. This is the only game I can honestly think of where we've continued to bring stuff forward, where we infuse things up. Because World of Warcraft, you get a new expansion, goodbye amazing armor. My new blues at 71 versus 6, instead of 70 are so much better. So they haven't made us do that yet. And I hope as they kind of get closer and closer to the RPG vibe that they do eventually get to that level to make people, because it is nice to just, that's one of the times that this game feels the best, is when we're leveling up, we're experiencing new content, we're not just trying to keep towing this giant like trailer of stuff behind us that we want to keep using. We just want to get to the new stuff and have some fun with that. So I'm hoping eventually they get there, but they are being very nice to the player base right now, letting you ease in as slowly as you like. So that's actually pretty cool.
Cool. What else you got?
He goes through kind of a live journal thing, talking about some stuff, but the big stuff to talk about will be the pursuit of power. And he talked about this actually in part 1 as well, basically stating we've got so many things on the directory. If you boot it up right now and you log in and be like, hey, it's Tuesday at 12:01, dear God, there's a lot to do.
Whoa, bro.
And it's not a bad thing to say, hey, there's a lot of stuff to do in the game. There's not. But I think what really brought everything to the head and probably has made people realize it was the pictures and the spreadsheets for the Season of Opulence raid grind. Because in 6 hours, you were trying to figure out what am I going to have to do. And you look through and you're like, oh my God. So I got to go do the Dreaming City mission, do Shattered Throne, maybe just the first encounter, go do weekly encounters, bounties, and all those things. And it's a lot. And for for the new light players, I'm really glad they're kind of getting a piecemeal, like slowly add planets over time so they don't get overwhelmed. But we've got the idea they basically are at is there's too many places for power, and none of it really means that much. So they're going to work on curating that a little bit, and we've got kind of a difference in the way prime engrams are going to work, world drops are going to work, and then also kind of pinnacles and things. So first, we've got an idea where our light level is going. So we're making a pretty big leap with up to 950 plus question mark, because we've got soft cap.
1,000 or 900.
That's what I'm wondering. I was saying it might like
it's got to be, but
got to be 1,000, because you've got soft cap sounds like about 900, where pretty much anything will level you up. They said prime engrams will be dropping at about 900, and you'll kind of save up the number you have. You will get more prime engrams in a week, but they said they're going to rebalance the value, so they probably won't be 5 or 6 light. They'll probably be a little lighter. But they did also say world drops are going to be kind of giving you a boost. If you have a power level of 912, you got some big drops, and you got this one straggler back there, you can get a random legendary that can finally help you. And I think that's huge.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
So that's a quality of life piece, big time. And then we get into... so that's kind of just the power, the way it's all coming in. And I wanted to ask you guys, they say like short-term goal, kind of weekly, medium-term goal. Like, what are you guys, how long do you think, for one, as we kind of have numbers to work with, like 900, 950, where do you think the raid's going to stand at about 4 days with contest? So that's first one. So let's go there. What do you guys think that raid light level is going to be? Because contest is going to be on, so it's not going to matter if you get above it, but where do you think they're going to set it if we're getting up to 950 plus-ish?
Boy, what you think, man?
I genuinely don't know, because it's such a big jump. I'm trying to remember the last time we had.
Well, Forsaken was probably like 220.
Forsaken was like 220, man.
Yeah. I don't even know if I can pinpoint it, because like then what happens when you're like, super over leveled? I'm guessing they might just do the prestige is just higher, and I don't know. I'm genuinely unclear.
Yeah, I'm unclear too.
Yeah.
I just know that they're gonna put those world first rules. I assume they're gonna put those world first rules back in. That at certain points of the encounter,
contest will be there.
Yeah, contest is definitely gonna be there. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's such a jump. This is, man, raid starting off, and then we're not ready for new light talk. Right?
Getting there.
Okay.
Well, so everyone, the floor is 750.
Yeah,
now, so everyone would be 750.
Yep.
And like how I mean, how far can you possibly get in? How many days is it?
4 days,
like
Tuesday to Saturday.
4 days.
So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days, I guess. But yeah.
So like judging by like current stuff, you can jump maybe like what 20, 30 levels if you're lucky. Get up that high and like with your initial batch of sources. So it's got to be within that range, like within 50. But then there's 200 more.
Yeah, I'm like, so that's
on top of it. So it's like what? So yeah, I'm really. It's gonna be weird if the raid's like 800 or whatever, but then there's like some other pinnacle that's like 950 later, which you assume there would be, because there's got to be something that's up that high, or else there's no point in the next 200 levels.
Agreed.
So
that's a good point.
I don't know. We're so used to these little like 50 jumps that we don't really.
Well, I mean, the last time we had a big one was Forsaken. We were able to go from 380 to 600. So that was 220.
Oh, was that big? Okay.
Yeah, so that was the biggest one. And I think the Solstice of Heroes got you. What was it? Got you to 400 if you grinded out the armor or something. So I mean, that's still 200 points, but we had 10 days. We had a much longer time, but we got
shorter window.
So this is
what are the rates? What was the rate starting at for Forsaken?
560, 540, but by the time you got to the end, it was like 570, something like that. I know it was up there.
Okay.
So I mean, you're talking at least 150 points that people climbed, but that was over 10 days of grinding, and now we have 4.
I don't, somewhere between 800 and 850.
Yeah. That's. But I also just wonder is like what that's going to do too, as you said. What is the future grind? Like, what's the reason to get above? If the raid is 800, do they do heroic raid at 900? I mean, is that what I'm saying? What's that? They have to almost do a heroic if they're going to do it that fast.
Yeah, I'm concerned because once that initial raid week in World First is over, once we achieve these light levels, then we're going to start squashing that thing. You know what I mean? So it's just like I am concerned with the long play, how they handle it. Do we get the return of the heroic modes and stuff like that? challenge modes and things. It's interesting, man. I don't envy them with this design choice. Like I would not want to be them with this. This is really, interesting, choices they have to make.
Excuse me, guys. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, go for it, man. But I don't know, man. 850 maybe,
Yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, 4 days isn't long, but I could see that.
Yeah, maybe break it and also break it down by encounter. I think Callie, she was like a checkpoint at a certain light level, and then maybe I don't know. We got to see. Then with the world's first mechanics on top of it, there's a lot of push.
Yeah, it's getting complicated.
It's getting complicated, man. It's getting complicated. You good?
Oh yeah, I'm good. Sorry, just frog in my throat.
All good.
So we've got. I mean, you kind of touched on it, but New Light is coming, and that's going to bring a lot of players in. And they were just saying, "Hey, what are these players going to come in at?" They don't want to come in at level 10 and be like, "Hey, you got to go grind out like." How long have you played? You played like 1,000 hours? Well, I'm never going to do that. So everybody who comes in at New Light starts at 750. But guess what? If you have like an alt that's like 310 right now, just make sure it's wearing something because it's going to be 750 as well. Every single character.
Think about that.
Yeah, you don't have to level.
Oh, I can get some achievements on Xbox. Thank you.
Yeah, just like literally log in a character, give it some armor.
Boom, boom. Hello, Max.
That's a good point. I gotta tell some of my friends that.
Yeah, I'm gonna start unlocking some achievements on Xbox before the crossplay goes live next week. Oh, this is gonna be great. I gotta grab this New Light one when you finish.
Oh, you're good. So yeah, New Light's gonna be an awesome thing. For one, I think Steam is gonna be huge. We've talked about that before, but I mean, you played enough games, the Steam player base is massive. So a free game at this scale to be, a free game to be like, hey, here's Destiny 2 Year 1 with these proper systems in it. They're jumping in at like the perfect place they could possibly be. But yeah, everything in your entire vault is gonna be infused. So the first thing he said, stop spending currency.
Wish they told me that like a month ago.
Hey, this guy who's been not spending currency.
Yeah. You'll find me. I'm the biggest offender. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this looks pretty. Infuse. This looks pretty. Infuse.
Yeah.
Oh, this new gun's my loadout. Infuse.
Yeah, he teased me. He's teasing me right now. But it's like, that's how I get. When I get a God roll, man, that thing's getting 10 cores easy. Like, that's just how I am, bro. Like, I gold shimmery box. I need my orbs to come out. Like, that's just what it is.
I've just been living with the same primary too long. My go figure is...
Yeah, you and your go figure.
I have like 40,000 kills with that thing though, so I love it.
No, your go figure's a beast. Don't get me wrong. I get it.
What's your go figure roll?
It's about as like perfect as I can go for. Hold on, let me click on it. It's
Outlaw,
got
Rampage.
Outlaw, Rampage, and then long zoom scope with range masterwork. And I put a counterbalance stock on it, so the aim assist literally sits perfect. Or the recoil direction it goes from 69 to 85. So thanks to Volit's little new sign graph video, it's like
Fallout. That was great.
It's dead on. So when I go pick up any other pulse rifle, it doesn't. Nothing feels as good. And pulses.
Just wait till the pulse rifle nerfs.
Oh my God, I know it's coming too. I was hoping to maybe get to like 77,000 kills if I got to keep using it, just to send that picture to Bungie. But no, at some point it's going away. But honestly, also I think I totally skipped over it at some point. Scout rifle's getting a buff, by the way.
Let's go.
Yeah, another buff because the last buff didn't really even
do anything.
Bro, I got a distant relation, just chilling, waiting for this buff, man.
Yeah, scouts will be good. So you want
I
to
want
say
to rate
something?
a fire buff. That's what I want for scouts.
Yeah,
a lot of these scouts are so slow. It's like
yeah. I want to dust off Polaris Lance too, man. It's a lot of
that could be powerful with a buff.
But we hit New Light because I'm chomping.
Yeah, I mean we're talking about New Light right now, so I mean it's kind of where we're at. So you had something, so go for it.
Yeah, man. I mean this was interesting because I had a dual feeling. Like I was conflicted initially because the hardcore Destiny player me is like, I work for all this stuff. Are you gonna let these guys just come in here? And just at first, I was a little emotional. I admit, you know what I'm saying. But then I thought about it, and Luke made a great point. One of the worst feelings, like everyone here at the last word, we're the hardcore, right? So what sucks is that I have friends that generally do pay attention to what's going on with Destiny, and they want to get. And the worst feeling is like, all right, bro, we're gonna start up. And then, your light level is that. All right, so you go over there and you grind out all this stuff. Then you get back to me, and then we never play. Like we never play together. So, I do like this because it's like, okay, day one, everyone's gonna get to rock with each other. We have cross save going on. I think it's critical for them. The question I have for you two, though, is, now that they implement this, right? Do we think season after season of the Undying, season of the whatever, is this going to be a thing? That, or is it going to be something that is just going to be like Power Surge again afterwards? You know what I'm saying? Power Surge bounties again after that. That's my question to you guys, because I do like this, man. I know I don't know how the community feels overall with New Light, with everyone getting that level, but it just sucks to separate your friends because they are just not at your level based on your level of commitment. But Paul, what you guys think?
I think this is just operating as kind of a hard reset just to get everyone on the same page for New Light when it's free to play, just so people don't show up and already feel behind.
Right.
I do not think that they're going to do this exact thing every season. My guess is that we return to some sort of Power Surge bounty system. They almost have to, because one of the new things they're doing is that you can skip seasons now and then just buy a new season later.
Correct.
So if you skip the next season and then buy the season after, then you're going to be like 100 power behind. So, but
good point.
If there's Power Surge bounties to take you up to like 10 below the minimum or 20 below or whatever it is, then that's not a problem. But if you don't have that, then you're going to run into all those same problems again. So I don't think they're going to take everybody to max, like the old max every single season, because I think that would get annoying, and then everyone would just stop grinding at a certain point. Because like, what?
You better get close to the end of the season.
Yeah.
Stop, y'all. Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get within like 20 to the end and you're not really getting it for anything, just whatever. But so I don't think that's like a permanent addition. This seems kind of like a one-time thing they're just gonna do for New Light.
I think you're on it. You agree?
I mean, all in all, yeah. I mean, I think the question comes into the next point as well. What they're going to do with the seasonal artifact, because they have the bonus in there, and I'm wondering, as that resets, is that how they? Okay, I'll just jump into it, Scrit.
Go for it. Get it. This is a good one.
So okay, we've got the potential. So we're saying like, hey, like 950 is going to be kind of a hard power cap, and then above that, you're going to be able to earn higher power by pinnacle activities. So pinnacle activities, we're wondering, okay, so if you do raids, you do dungeons, you do Iron Banner. I wish Iron Banner wasn't in there, but that's me in a different argument.
Easy. No PvP slander. Easy. Try to be careful.
There's a difference of like trying to actually beat a raid or a dungeon or even competitive PvP.
Oh, here we go. Slander. Continue.
No, but you can finish a match and still level up.
Be nice.
Anyway. But the idea, you can do the pinnacle activities, whatever they qualify those to be, and get above 950. But that's the only way you're going to be able to do it. But they also describe the seasonal artifact as a way to kind of put experience into it and level up over time. So these are the two questions. I think we barely touched on it before. Will these two stack on top of each other? Is there going to be like an ultra cap, as we're joking, like, hey, 1,000 is it? Now you can do the pinnacles and you can grind it faster and get there, or do you spend the whole season with the seasonal artifact and experience to just spend strikes and basic crucible to get up to that cap? Or do they double and you can get up to 1050 if you're like pinnacle and seasonal crazy town? And then the question would be is if you can get to, say, Shadow Keep and its rate is this, and then you get to 1,000 and you get to 1050, again, question, don't know. If you reset it, is that how they're going to do the season rotation and then keep everybody even? Or are you going to keep stacking on afterwards? So this is the whole power level discussion I wanted to get in with you guys, because there's a lot of levels to this.
Get it, Paul. There's an article right here. Go.
There's about 4 questions right here, so go nuts.
There's an article.
There's an article right here. Go.
I can barely comprehend how the artifacts even work at this point. Like that to me is one of the most confusing points of this. I don't think we have any of this confirmed, but like the way I would imagine it working is that it's both, because I can't imagine you would have to choose between like doing pinnacle activities and doing the artifact.
Right.
Although if you're doing pinnacle activities, you're probably also getting experience to level up the artifact at the same time. So the way I think it would work is like, okay, just the cap is 1,000. Let's just assume it doesn't go over 1,000. From 950 to 1,000, if you are doing pinnacle activities, you're getting the powerful drops and you're leveling up at a decent clip on top of whatever slow power bonuses you're getting from the seasonal artifact. I think maybe you can just grind the seasonal artifact, and if you're not doing pinnacle activities, you can maybe still hit the cap, but you're also two things. You're getting there a lot slower because you're not getting any bonus powerful drops, so it might take you literally the whole season of just grinding regular crucible or strikes or whatever you want to do to get there, but you can still get there.
Right.
And if this is a temporary bonus, if we get to the next season and then suddenly the cap is like 1100, Pinnacle people may stay at the cap, whereas you're then knocked down to 950,
So you have
and then have
grind.
to start.
Okay.
And then have to start getting blues or whatever, like more basic stuff to get back up again. I don't know if that's how it's going to work, but they are talking about this power bonus across your characters being temporary. Also, well, I guess one other thing with the artifact is that it's cross character, whereas Pinnacle grinding is on each of your individual characters. So I think it's got to be real. It's got to be a really slow grind. I think it was like what they were showing was like 55,000 experience for maybe one PowerPoint, which is slow.
What's our experience bar? What's our experience bar now? I don't even remember what it is.
I don't know either, but I know like a public event gives you like 2,000 or 3,000 or something.
That's right.
Or like
so it's work.
A Crucible match gives you like 4,500 or something like that. So it would be a lot of grinding of just like normal activities. But I don't understand very many things about the artifact still, so I don't have a super correct answer.
No, I think that's a good.
Hold on, Cognito. You're.
What? Can you hear me?
No, now we can. There we go.
All right, I'm back. Okay, cool. Yeah, like I think that's a good assumption, Paul. I think that they can definitely work it like that. This is the vibe I got from it. Like, I know people. Shout out my boy Kaibatsu. I know he will never do Pinnacle. You'll never catch him in the raid. You know what I'm saying? He just wants to operate at his pace and things he likes to do. And I think this, because again, if you talked about their design philosophy with D2 when they kind of almost went too casual, you know what I'm saying? I think this is to appease to that group that is never really going to do that, but they can still find a way, a progression, and also reward the guy that's kind of playing every day that may get unlucky sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the vibe I'm getting from Artifacts a little bit. I do like the fact that Pinnacle, activities are going to be that source, that faster source. I really like that. And I hate to get bougie, but like, that's how it got to be. Like, if I'm doing the hardest activities, I should be rewarded. That should be, and let's be real, like, the problem that they have with the powerful, it was just way too many. Like, you literally did not have to do the raid. You didn't have to. You could sit there and live on the Dreaming City. You can sit there and live in one specific DLC, and you can power grind. And I think that was hurting them, as far as the difficulty as well. So from a design standpoint, I get it. You got to eliminate a lot of this, all these, challenging, powerful engrams all over the map. I'm with that. But I love the fact of getting back to old D1, where if you want to get to that max light, you got to do the raid. You got to do, whatever that Pinnacle activity is. I love that stuff. And like Luke said, Destiny to me has meaning when you walk in the tower and you see someone back in the day with that trial set, and you saw someone with that full raid set, and you're like, yo, that's how he got that level of power, and that's the activity I want to grind for. And that's what I want. You know what I'm saying? I think the biggest mistake D2 made was just like, everyone gets raid gear, go to Hawthorne, go get your raid.
You get max level. Like, you get max level. Yeah,
like that pissed me off in the worst way. And I hated to sound bougie because at the time Destiny 2 was selling well. I was disgusted, Paul. I gotta be. I was disgusted. Bro. There's people in my clan that didn't step foot in the raid, and they running around with midnight cools.
That was a weird system. Yeah,
bro. Sins of the past, and I'm like, I'm doing it. And I don't even have
getting it for him. You just helping him.
Oh man, so I'm a little emotional right now, but it's levels to this. We gotta VIP some things here, and we gotta reward the hardcore activities. I personally love it. I'm curious to see, back to the original question with Artifacts, how it's gonna go. But the vibe I got is that it's gonna reward that guy who's not gonna do that other stuff and still be able to maybe slowly keep up. He's gonna have to play a lot, but at least he can kind of maintain it. Where's your whole thing with this, man? I'm curious. I'm very curious about when artifacts were, introduced. How do you feel about it?
So the artifact is a weird thing. And again, like, if the hard firm max is 1,000, as you're saying, it's faster or slower you get there. It kind of makes sense. That's kind of a similar thing I was thinking, because if you stack above that, it's probably too big a disparity between maybe a slower casual player who doesn't do raids versus somebody who does all the things. They're almost like getting up to 100 points in difference. That's a pretty big disparity. 50 power points I could see, and then if you're a little slower on the grind, you might end up at like 970. I do kind of like the idea of the reset, that maybe hey, my gear sits at like 975, and then I've got a bonus of the artifact to get me to that final 1,000. I'm 25 points ahead of you when that next season starts, so that grind's a little different. So what Paul said, that's actually a really good idea. I mean, for me, I'm the same way. I'm the crazy person who solo challenges myself on a bunch of stuff. So, I mean, doing the hard content and getting rewarded for it, yes, absolutely. Because honestly, I think one thing the game has been lacking since D1 is the need for the raid. There's a reason there's a reason Forever 29 was a thing, is because so many people were actually raiding at that time. And I know it was still a small number that did, but there was incentive to do it because that's how you maxed out. Do you want that number to be the max it can be? Yep. Why? Or how do you get there? Well, I got to find some way to do it. LFGs were probably more popular and things like that because you had more people doing it. Maybe I just had a good group of friends that did want to, but even them, they wanted to. And now it's just my issue with Iron Banner. And I'll say this, Iron Banner, I do enjoy the mode. I like it. Always feels a little bit different. The power level seems to just, I don't know, just always feels a little different in PvP. But it's still a way for someone to fail forward. Right. They can suck in PvP and still get like pinnacle level gear, and there's not a lot of skill behind that. And that's one of those things where you take away from, as he's saying, it's like, you know, you look at somebody who's 960 and they did a bunch of pinnacle activities, or did they just wait for Iron Banner to come around? And the pinnacle people might be ahead of them, but that was the issue that started in D1, is D1 started with being able to level you up in Iron Banner, and it's been a continuation of where everything does it now. And I mean, I like the mentality of getting back more to this. And I know Iron Banner's only come up once a month, so it's not like you can just be like,
yeah, you're going to stop this Iron Banner slander, bro. I'm feeling the way about this. I'm letting you rock.
I like the mode, damn it.
You acting like Iron Banner's out here every week now. Come on, man.
Well, it feels more recent, but anyway.
My PvP sensibilities are hurt.
You have 7 bounties and a quest. That's 12 powerful drops in
without trials. I mean, you gotta have something. That's
I know.
Tell him, Paul. He out here slandering my once a month
trials
activity.
comes back. Yeah, I know it's not that often. It's just one of those that it's kind of that little boost where you can be active in matches. So
no, I know your sentiment. I do,
but I do generally like the idea of pinnacle activities rewarding above. And if you get to 950 and you're like, how do I get to 951? You're like, oh, I got to go do that. But that's the point where some people might be like, all right, I'm setting aside some time. We're going to try and do this. And hopefully more people will want to. We just got to see if it's going to be worth the difference, but I'm kind of hoping it is. So I like what they're doing. I like the artifact is a huge question mark in this whole equation because we don't have a clue how it works, how the modifiers on the mods on it are going to work, what you buy, and this bonus thing is going to be a grind. So there's a lot of pieces of this we don't know. It's a bigger power cap than I expected to be, honestly, because they were showing 800 on streams. I was like, is it going to be like 850? We're at like 950 to 1,000, and this is just Shadowkeep and Wave season. So yeah, we'll be talking next year about this time, and we'll be like 1,500 power level. It's fine.
No doubt.
And then the final piece, they said they have tried to learn their lesson from cores and Masterworks, and we'll see. I mean, they say they don't want it to be famine, but we've got enhancement prisms and ascendant shards. I kept calling it, I was in my little streams when I was looking at it, the ascendant shard looks like a exotic golf ball, but that's a whole different. That's what it looks like. It's got little dimples on it. So, but those are going to be kind of the big piece for leveling up your armor. But that kind of actually covers some of the big stuff. Anything from the director's cuts that you guys can think of that I haven't touched on?
If we keep talking for another hour and 20 minutes, we might get the third.
We might get the third one.
All right, so we'll just go through. We can fill up an hour and 20, and we'll just do a live review with Paul, and you can write your article as we go. We'll give you feedback.
At the same time.
At the same time. Man.
But no, normally when we have guests on, we do kind of get just a little bit. But I wanted to kind of, in your proper spirit and fashion, the top 5 Destiny moments for your experience in the franchise.
No pressure.
Oh man,
no pressure. Let's go. Let's get it, folks.
I mean, normally it's the top things you knew. So what would be your top 5 moments from?
All right, I can't do these in order.
No, that's fair. Just big ones.
Yeah. Just as they come to me. I'm the most proud probably of my 24-hour Reckless grind. That was I won 15 COT games in a row, like out of nowhere.
Nice.
To do it. I had a lot of fun when M-Tash carried me to flawless trials. That was fun. I didn't do bad. I held my own, but that was a good time. I mean, first Fall to Glass raid experience was.
Say it again with your chest. Say it again with your chest, because this podcast is a lot of Vote the Glass slander, Paul, and I'm out here fighting a good fight. I'm fighting a good fight, and tell them why. Vote the Glass.
I don't know if we agree on the why. Like I will.
Okay, what are your? Okay, we'll get to another question after this. Yeah.
Now, but because I'm not even like a big raider. Like I don't even raid as much as most hardcore people. It's just that first Vault of Glass experience was unlike anything else. Kind of in games, like we never really come across something like that in a shooter before, because it's all
fix your face, fix your face. I see you fix it. You see here,
it's all
preaching the gospel,
stuff, like MMO things. So it just wasn't anything anyone really expected. Like I wasn't doing it on like day one and like dying over and over again. It was just the first time I experienced it was pretty fantastic. Oh man, I'm trying to think if there's like a specific drop that just like lit me up, because like I never got my Galahorn drop. I had to buy it the second time.
Oh man,
wait, you had to buy Galahorn?
Yeah, Whisper. That was really solid. That was up there.
I was like, that's my baby.
Whisper and Outbreak. That might be the same thing, but like any dungeon you experience for the first time is pretty
Throne.
stellar.
Have you like soloed Shattered Throne and that stuff, or
no?
Okay,
I'm not that hardcore. Like I'm like 90% level hardcore. The rest of you are like between 90 and 100. Like I'm at like only 1,000 hours or whatever. And
you got
so
time in the
not
game
like,
without a doubt. So
yeah, like 3 to 4. So like I'm like hardcore casual, where like I play a ton, but I'm not like only running Pinnacle stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
Shattered Throne itself is definitely kind of a top moment in and of itself. Just I did try and solo it like the first time through just to see how far I could get, and I got to the ogre, and that was it.
that's you have no idea how many times I've died there. How many times I died there? It's crazy.
Yeah, that was a cool experience. I don't know. I probably can come up with like a full top 10 list. So I just have to think back a little more. But those are probably.
There's another article for you, by the way. You're welcome.
Yeah, that would be cool, man. Your top moments in Destiny, just
top
like
moments before Shadowkeep.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure there's more I'm forgetting, and like there's been so much cool loot to use and good experiences, and it's
okay. I gotta do this. Top 3 raids.
Oh, you really gonna do it now? Top 3 raids. He's really gonna. He's starting trouble right now. He's pushing buttons right now.
Let's say number 1 is Last Wish.
Respect. I respect that.
Number 2. Probably Vault of Glass, even if it's just nostalgia. 3.
What's the 3rd?
I don't know. A lot of people put Leviathan last, but I personally like Leviathan.
Really?
I mean, I'm kind of lumping in all the layers too. Like I just think that was like a good zone, good experience.
Basement apartment 2B in this and
penthouse as well. I've flat out like I haven't done Scourge of the Past. Like I've not done everything. Yeah, like I've skipped some random raids here and there. So I don't know if I have like a fully comprehensive, but I think it's hard to top Last Wish. I just think that was next level on every level. So
I mean we give each other crap, but our top 3 generally are whichever order you put them in: Vault of Glass, Last Wish, and King's Fall.
Yeah, I didn't.
King's Fall.
I was just about to ask. I didn't.
So where's
King's
Fall on your list?
Probably.
Where's King's Fall?
I'd say King's Fall is probably 2 over Vault of Glass. Yeah.
That's fine. Remember, I told you those are the only acceptable.
But those are the top
answers.
3. Yeah.
If you say I'm a Vault of Glass
I
fan,
like lump King's Fall and Last Wish together in my mind because they're both the expansion.
Oh yeah.
But you know why I respect Paul though?
Yeah.
Threw Last Wish in there, and just give me your reason as to why it's the ultimate.
Well, I think it's probably the same thing you would say. So yeah,
I'm curious. I gotta hear from the legend.
Me personally, I just like I'm more of like a conceptual story person. So for me, it's like the environment and how it relates to the lore, and like some of the mechanics I'm like iffy on, like shooting the eyes. And it's okay, but for me, it's just the whole environment, the whole relation to the story, and how it tied into the Dreaming City, and then you beat it, and then it unlocks stuff after. Like that's why what I want raids to be is stuff that affects the broader world, and it's not just this like tiny little locked away bit of content. And I think we're seeing that. Like, we had a whole expansion based on Callus, who's a raid boss, which we've never seen before, essentially. So I like stuff that kind of spans the whole lifetime of Destiny.
Preach it, brother. Preach it, man. I mean, that literally I mean, E, you were there, right, when I was talking to, or was our raid lead from Bungie?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I literally said that. I said, that's what separates Last Wish. Narratively, you do the campaign, it leads to the Dreaming City. Dreaming City, that it goes into that. And it's just the matter, it fits so perfect as opposed to, hey, just go random encounter and fight big bad, without any context, without any narrative progression and connectivity towards it. And I still think like one of the greatest things, even when you beat Riven, just leaving and escaping with the heart is so cool. Shout out to that music. I forgot to compose it, especially, that gets me pumped, man. I think it's the same beat they use when the Shuro Chi fight. But man, I completely agree. I think if anyone says, I'm a Voltaglass family, but if anyone says Last Wish or King's Fall, because King's Fall, I feel like a man's rage, it's a rage. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing with the bosses and stuff. And I respect it. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I got to slam the Game Informer for how dare they had Wrath of Machine over Voltaglass. We ain't going to talk about it. We ain't going to. Shout out to Game Informer. Those are my guys. I'm just joking. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, somehow we've had the craziest week, but we knocked everything out, basically. We've got an hour until part 3 goes live. And that one is actually going to be covering a couple things I know you guys are waiting on when it comes to combat and PvP especially. So I wanted to ask, when it comes to PvP, what are you hoping for with Shadowkeep?
They got to make some heavy changes. I think nerfing guardian damage on machine guns is good. So you're not just like 2-tapping everybody for like a 40-round clip or whatever you get from heavy. PvP specific kind of eternal supers are a problem based on the map or how fast you can generate supers now. So you have getting killed twice by the same super in one life.
I hate that
is
so
wild.
much.
Like it feels like it locks you into like pretty much only these roaming supers in most PvP modes. Those I think are kind of the two biggest things. But I'm hoping whatever nerfs go into play there, they're not anything that affects PvE, because you never know. Like I don't want them to like nerf super regeneration generally, but PvP needs kind of a different toolkit. So those to me are the two biggest issues. I'd also like to see kind of a more wider variety of map design. Like I don't know how many maps we're getting with Shadowkeep, but to me, like part of the reasons like scout rifles are bad is because there's not that many maps that are even good for them. Things like that. So I think more map diversity will also help with things too.
Yeah,
and I don't think they're going to talk about trials. I think that's
I'm not even. Trust me, God. Yeah, put that emotional part aside. Sorry, coming. But yeah. I mean, Paul, you knocked it out. I mean, pretty much the same boat. I mean, we definitely got to get some rebalancing in the meta. We scouts in there. We got to get that going. Roman supers are a bit egregious. Just more flexibility with modes as opposed to everything lumped up into quick play. And you know what I'm saying? I kind of miss supremacy a little bit as well. You know what I mean? They're sitting on a bunch of things. I think maps are huge. I mean, we've got so many D1 maps that could be repurposed that were designed for 6v6. You know what I mean? That we really need to come back. And, yeah, man, I'm dying to know in like an hour or two what is going to. Those be my request. And if they happen to say that they're thinking about bringing Trials back at some point, Trials of Osiris, not the 9. We want the nice Egyptian armor. We want Osiris in all his glory. We need to redeem him for that terrible DLC. But anyway, but all jokes aside, but yeah, seriously, like, I mean, I don't expect it. It would be nice, but I think that's in the future. But as long as PvP modes, maps, faster meta turnaround too, that would be nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
I think they've said they're just going to keep sticking with like one
sandbox.
But
not great. Not great. I'm not happy about it. But I'll let you finish it off with PvP. Your favorite mode?
No, I mean for me,
Iron Banner connoisseur here. Continue.
I played 136 matches of Iron Banner. Thank you very much recently.
Salute. And you got your about top, man.
I know because I counted, because that's literally all I did that week. And I was like, and I actually pulled like what map I played on. I was very curious about the stats on it, and they actually had a pretty decent map distribution. I was surprised. Curious how many wins and losses I had. No, I was grinding for Mountaintop, and I was doing the damn In Pursuit of Honor. So I was just living with grenade launchers in there, so that's why it was.
Now it's going to be nerfed, so have fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's coming in September, but that's fine. It's done. So, yeah, just in time for it to get nerfed too. For me, I'm with you guys. It's I'd like to see competitive as I've actually been spending more time in there. Get a little bit more, just a little bit more love, a little more. It needs to be a real mode.
Right.
I'd like to see them do. I don't know if they can yet. I mean, I don't see dedicated servers. I see that as like D3. Same thing with like crossplay and those type of bigger like deep netcode system changes, like that stuff. I don't think happening. But I mean, if they can put like a ladder system in or different rankings involved and give comp some type of depth that people want, even if it's not like the trials yet, I think that's where they need to start. So then trials can have something else, but it needs to have depth to it, because even me, I know I'm not going to be in like legend. Hitting 5,500 for me is unlikely to happen, especially solo queuing. But I'd like to see a reason, like that incentive for me to be like, hey, I got a little bit of glory, but are there the ladder systems and things like that? And I think the population influx from New Light is going to help them hopefully be able to be like, if they take the bet that's saying, hey, we're going to get a lot of new players in here, as you said, get more playlists. Are we going to have Rift? Are we going to have Supremacy? Are we going to actually have choice of Control or Clash when I go to the director to choose what I want to play? And I think they've been worried about their player base is maybe one reason they haven't split it up yet. So I
just hope New Light makes quick play less sweaty.
Oh my God.
A bunch of new people. It's more sweaty than competitive now. I don't know why.
I'm with you. I just played like the last couple. I've been working on just random stuff in there too, but it wasn't even comp. It was just quick play for matches. I'm like working hard. What is happening right now? I'm like even neck and neck, like working on a comeback. I'm like, this is quick play, right?
Even Iron Banner is easier than quick play now, because if you're max level, you're at least fighting some people that are below your level, so you're getting an advantage from that. So it's a very weird system right now. But
I agree.
Yeah. So sadly, I don't see dedicated servers, which is one I know everyone would love.
Yeah, we know we've been screaming that for a long time, but yeah, that's D3. Like,
yeah, that's later. So yeah, those are my big ones. Just a little more depth in comp, so I've got a reason, a little more player choice of what I want to play. Yeah, excuse me.
Absolutely.
God, sorry.
I was checking Twitter to see if the thing went live early.
look at my
just
I mean, if it did, I was like, we would just go through it. But no, they've been dropping right at about noon. It was even yesterday. I was like, and 12:05 refresh. Oh, there it is. So.
Oh, you guys are Central. Okay.
Yeah, we're Central. I'm Central. No, he's East.
You guys Central. I'm Eastern.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I'm down here in Texas, so we got the this side of the U.S. covered.
No doubt.
Well, man, this has been awesome. I wanted to respect your time, so we're holding right at just about 2 hours.
Oh yeah, perfect. I gotta go let my dog out.
Very cool.
Get some lunch before this massive info dump.
We'll be looking out for that article, man.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, wanted to just thank you for coming in. It was awesome to meet you, and definitely appreciate having you on. Obviously, keep doing everything awesome that you were doing, because always a quick read, even just no matter what I'm doing, it's like, oh, Paul's got an article. It's like, what's he got to say? It's like, and we're all pretty in tune to it, but it's like, I always like seeing your opinion because it's well said and fair, and I appreciate that. I think yours is
always correct. Thank you.
Salute.
But I mean, the biggest thing is you're fair. You're gonna call a spade. You're gonna say, hey, this is good. Hey, this is not, and needs some help. But you're gonna do it in a, professional, respectful way. So, yeah, if you guys want to know how to give constructive criticism, go read his stuff.
Absolutely,
that's the best way to do it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, one of the best. One of the very, very best. Honor to have you here. And like I said, just very clear, concise, and say always, like I said, just passionate. What I like about you're just passionate for the looter shooter genre as well. Destiny. Once Destiny's one of your favorite guys, I was like, yeah, I like this guy already. I was like, I'm a fan of all his articles. I was like, he like Destiny. I'm biased. Let's go. No, but all jokes aside, one of the very best. When your articles, I always put a notification on first to read and see what's going on, see what your thought process is. Keep up the fantastic work. Honor to have you here, man. This is awesome. Definitely something I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. This is a great show. I'd be happy to be back whenever. So
awesome.
Just let me know.
Anytime by the campfire, brother.
I'm glad you like the name too. I saw your little tweet.
That's a great name. Yeah.
There was a back and forth of like, there's a couple reasons, but yeah, no. So we do try. This may sound like it's kind of stolen, but as it is, literally, we try and get in the last word. So what I try and do is say, like, kind of episode wrap up and everything, and then we say this has been the last word, and that's where we cut the episode.
Let the man plug first.
I'm getting there. So I'm just letting them know, like, when we get to like final wrap ups, that's how we'll do it. Okay. So
this is like a Guardians Out thing where you all say it.
Yeah, kind of similar,
yeah, basically. But as we're like
the Guardians Out on Fire Team chat.
Oh no, we
screw it up every week. We screw it up every week. It's just
it's like it's Discord, so it's fine. But yeah, I mean, just tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing, what you got cooking, anything coming up. So anybody on audio, YouTube, Twitch, wherever they're seeing you, so they can find you more.
and about them novels, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got to do the books.
Plug them now. Let's get the full plug.
All right, full plug. So I am just on Twitter at Paul Tassi. I am on Twitter probably the most out of anything, and tweeting way too much. Probably 80% of my tweets are about Destiny. So, follow me there. If you want to read my Forbes stuff, there's links on Twitter that I post every day. I post all my articles. You can. I don't even know my site URL. Just Google my name. Just Google Paul Tassi, and it'll show up. This is the first thing. It's not a very common name.
Nice.
And then in my spare time, I do like to try and write books. I have a science fiction trilogy called the Earthborn trilogy. That's been out for a couple of years now. And then I have my book that came out about a year ago. It's called Hero Killer. It's like a near future sci-fi gladiator story. And then I just finished writing Hero Killer 2. So now I have to just edit it and talk to my publisher, see if I might self-publish this time, so it can be cheaper finally. And we'll see what happens with that. But that might take a couple more months or whatever to get out. But 4 books. If you want to get through those and let me know what you think, I'd be happy to hear about it.
Absolutely,
that'd be awesome. Yeah. So
absolutely, man. Salute, man, and also some fantastic Walking Dead takes. I love your Walking Dead takes.
Oh yeah,
your TV takes.
It's fears right now, but then Walking Dead proper comes back.
I will definitely tell you.
I'll be watching that show till the end of time. So
I'm 3 or 4 episodes into The Boys right now, by the way.
That's amazing.
That show's so dope. I love that so much.
I gotta watch. I heard great things.
That is a hell of a take on that genre. Just to be like, take everything you think in the Marvel and just flip it, and it's just oh man, it's been.
Yeah, I was on Amazon. They're actually using they have like the show, and they have my quote where it's like the best.
They got you.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw you got quoted. I was like,
oh, this is funny.
That's dope.
No, that's one of the reasons I checked it out, because I had seen one brief thing, and then I saw you say it, and I was like, gotta check it out. So
yeah, I watched it twice already. I watched it once by myself and then once with my wife, who liked it too. But
yeah, my wife and I are four in, so we're working through it. But yeah, thank you for that recommendation. It's been
fun stuff coming.
I don't know if it was you or somebody was like, in the first episode, yep, they went there, and I was just like, oh my god, they did. Like, it did not take long in that first episode at all.
That's true.
No, Cognito. Well, if you want to wrap up yours, then we'll finish this.
You already know. Lord Cognito on Twitter, YouTube. But for all that, again, Paul Tassi, thank you so much for coming. This really means a lot to us to have you here. Like I said, you have no idea. This is a fantastic show. Always great to hear your takes. So that's off the bat. But yeah, on Twitter, Lord Cognito, you already know, at Lord Cognito. And of course, Iron Lord Podcast, YouTube. Every Sunday is the Lord's Day, 1 p.m. Eastern. We will have a special guest this Sunday because we're back. We did the Play New York City convention. Thank you guys for all the support on the articles and all that stuff. And we're going to have 6 Eyes Studio. They're going to be coming in and they're going to be talking about their game that actually released all platforms now. It's called Fell Seal, kind of like a Final Fantasy Tactics from the Chrono Trigger realm. I know you're a Chrono Trigger guy. If you're from that genre, we're going to really talk about his journey in the industry. And now I believe it released on Switch this week. It's on all platforms, Steam, and all the major consoles and stuff like that. So they will be in the building. And of course, we will talk about the latest topics in gaming. And of course, every Friday, I talk at the campfire with my man, Ebontis, generally 9 a.m. Eastern. But when we have special guests like Tassi, we adjust. But man.
Sorry.
No, you're
had to get those articles out.
Bro, you get the velvet rope. Don't even worry about that. Yeah. You the pinnacle engram right now. Don't you worry. But yeah, man, every Friday I get to talk. The Ninja and the Cheetah, we come together at the campfire. We talk last word. Looter Shooter podcast, mostly Destiny focused right now when the other ones ain't too good. But that's what it is, man. But again, salute. This is fantastic, man. Really appreciate it. It's on you, man.
Yeah, mine's simple. You can find me. It's the weird name. You can find it everywhere. It's Ebontis. So Ebontis. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. You'll find me on all of those. If you find the cheetah, you're in the right place. So that's the easy one. But yeah, seriously, Paul, again, thank you. It's been an honor, and you are welcome anytime. So I know you seem to be busy with podcasts lately, but if we can,
I really suddenly picked up. Like, I don't know, I was like sporadic guest, but now I'm kind of a regular on Rachel's Roundtable.
Salute the Lono.
I should have plugged that too. Sorry.
Yeah, salute the Lono.
Lono's like, come on.
Yeah. It's like he's on my podcast. He didn't even say it.
I've only done like two recent ones, so I'm still getting used to being a regular on that. And I've been on Fire Team chat like twice in the last maybe 2 months.
Episode.
So
great episode.
Yeah, I don't know if Dustin will have me back
I don't know.
He's lost some hosts to his last one left for Bungie. CJ left for Bungie.
CJ.
Salute to CJ. That was my guy.
Yeah. It's a legit move.
Controller gang on PC. That's my guy.
Well, we will let you go. We know you got your dog to take care of and stuff, but thank you very much. This has been episode 69 of The Last Word, August 16th. Thank you guys for all tuning in live on Twitch, whether you hear this on audio platforms, it's available on our YouTube channels, wherever you find it. Thank you. And go find all of these awesome people. They are great to follow and listen to and watch. So for all that being said, and this is where we're going to try and say this together, it has been The Last Word.